Welcome to Pod 36. Cheers, boys.
Cheers.
Balls and Brews.
Salute.
This drink just like I hoped it would.
Ooh.
Yeah, I wasn't really sure what to expect.
Yum, Urban Roots.
Yeah,
Actually,
tell us about it.
It's funny that you say it drinks exactly like you want, because it's the mouthfeel of the hazy that I know you love. That mouthfeel was nice and dreamy. It was creamy. It was delicious. But it doesn't have the juice flavor necessarily. I get hops forward.
I get way more
on
hops.
this.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was kind of expecting that juice.
I was too with the color.
Look at it.
And the mouthfeel.
And the mouth. So the mouthfeel was exactly what I was expecting right up front. But yes, way more hop forward than juicy. But I still love the way it drank. It is.
Oh, dude, golf clap. So Urban Roots out of Sacramento, California. These guys are quickly becoming one of my favorite breweries, dude. I've had like 6 brews by them that have from all spectrum, from dark to I had a really good wheat by them, I had a really good sour by them. The Cosmic, what is it? I forget. It's Cosmic something we had. Yeah, and it was a milkshake IPA that was phenomenal. You guys are doing it, man. Urban Roots, shout out. And this can, it was honestly the can, you guys. This is the cutest fucking can. Like, you're not going to be able to see.
Fucking cute.
It is. It's goddamn adorable. You're not going to be able to see the little kittens, but the beer's called Pile of Kittens, and it's a ramen bowl full of noodles, eggs, and kittens. And look it up on Instagram and the X. We posted it, as we always do every week. And as far as the actual beer, phenomenal.
Yes, very delicious. I liked it a lot.
Good beer.
Beer question this week. Chuck had a great.
I had a really interesting one. I was kind of walking around the apartment, and as soon as it hit me, I was like, I have to write this down to make sure that I don't forget it. Because sometimes inspiration comes and goes very quickly, right? If you don't have like a scratch pad, you're like, what the hell is that topic?
Short-term
Anyway, this question is in relation. I guess if you could share a beer with. We'll go, I guess you could do athletes first because we mostly talk, but celebrity as well, or just like an idol or somebody, dead or alive. Who would it be and why?
I got 2 athletes.
Okay.
Actually, let's make it 3.
All right.
Rob Gronkowski, I think, would be amazing.
Okay.
I would love to have a
Beer
beer
bro.
with Peyton Manning.
Really?
I think Peyton Manning would be
Interesting to talk to.
interesting to talk to,
Okay.
funny, and just, yes, like the pick Peyton's brain would be insane, I think. And then number 3, I think, would be kind of in the Rob Gronkowski, but an ex-Raider, passed away, Kenny Stabler.
Oh,
Kenny the Snake. I
dang.
think that would have been a fun one, too. Talk to him about John Madden would have been fun.
There you go. That's legit.
I mean, yeah, those are some good names. Kind of keep it in the same sphere because you could take this a lot of different directions.
Yeah, I tried to just stay, because then you could get like musicians, which so I wanted to stay in.
So we're doing just sports.
That's
then.
what I tried to say.
Okay,
Just
yeah, you're not wrong, because there's a lot of
We
like,
can go there for other
sure,
questions.
but no, let's
save it.
Yeah.
just athletes.
So for current athletes,
Okay.
Kittle, my boy.
Oh my god, he's hilarious.
He's
I would have a
funny.
hard time not throwing him a nomination, and I'm a fucking Seahawks fan. Like,
Yeah,
he'd be a great
that'd be
buddy.
a great sit down
for sure.
For sure. And then like bringing up like some of the greats, Joe Montana. Come on, he seems like a guy you could have a beer with, and probably like the stories that he would have would be great.
He drinks,
Sure.
He's on Guinness commercials.
Yes,
There you go.
He's a beer guy.
Beer guy.
Go for it, Chuck.
Dude, okay, so from the Seahawks, like he's not current, but Marshawn Lynch. I'd love to sit there. We'd probably be drinking
that'd be
Hennessy.
fun. That'd
I
be
don't think
fun.
we'd be drinking beer. We'd probably be drinking Hennessy, but like that would be hilarious. I love that man is just himself.
Yeah,
like,
he's quite the character.
I don't even think it's character. That's just Marshawn Lynch. Like, I think that's the best part about it. Like, he'd show up in sweats and we're drinking Henny out in the, wherever. Like, I'll meet you in Berkeley, bro. It'd be dope as shit.
Dude, he does all kinds of shows too, like showing up for
Everywhere.
any kind of
Everywhere.
interview.
Yeah,
or
he just like, he's
or
Skittles.
spot.
He can get along with most humans, and I think that's a great characteristic of somebody. It would be a hilarious afternoon. I think that'd be it. And then Shaq. You guys, I think he would just be phenomenal to sit there, because it could be a great balance of serious and bullshittery, right? Like, he can very much do both. Yeah, absolutely. So
I think one we missed on, as you said, Shaq would have been Barkley.
I would take Shaq over Barkley. I think that Barkley would just be fucking annoying after a while, to be fair.
I don't know. I love Barkley.
The two of them together are hilarious, but I think separately I'd rather just go Shaq. But like, then you're opening up, like, we talked about this on a pod ago, or like Kobe Bryant post-retirement, holy shit, what a fucking cool
great.
sit-down that would have been, right? Like, that guy was so smart, and he just was a real human. Like, so that's an honorable mention, I suppose, for all three of us would probably take that one up, you know? That's a cool topic. We want to hear from you. What are some of the athletes you would like to meet, current and past, right? There's got to be a couple. That's why we're all into sports, right? Because we're attracted to personalities and to, like, you know, the athletes that we watch. Because it sucks when you have a team and you're like, there's no star. It's cool when you have good teams and teammates, but, like, when you have that, like, magnetic personality to pull towards, like, that always increases your fandom.
For sure.
100%. Let's jump into some college football talk. We led last week off with the Harbaugh suspension of the 3 games.
Right.
So this week, more evidence has come out.
A boatload.
Booster was paying for the tickets to be bought. There was another assistant coach that was deleting phone records or something.
Is that the guy that got fired?
No, that's a linebacker coach. He got fired because he was supposedly telling...
I heard he was impeding the investigation.
Yeah, he was telling the
Students,
kids,
right.
the players,
What to say
during the interview.
So
now Michigan...
No.
So now Michigan has accepted the 3-game suspension, and Harbaugh will not be at Maryland and will not be at Ohio State.
Ooh, that Ohio State game.
Chuck, I want to throw this to you first because right now, in a minute, we're going to jump into the first 8 rankings, the CFP. You sit at 5. And
that's the toughest one, baby.
you sit at 5,
right?
And you have a direct impact. I know that schedules will play out.
Sure.
We're going to get into that
right.
when we go through
Wins,
this.
losses will play
But
out.
what is your thought as a person that's at 5 with a team that's at 3? Because Paul Feinbaum, I don't know if you guys listened to him much, he came out and said in an interview, I think with Dan Patrick, he will not accept Michigan as a national champ if they win.
It's just tough because you want everybody to be dealt their due process. You want everybody to be, exalted if that's the case, but it really looks like we've passed the, point of giving them the benefit of the doubt, right? So raise your hand if you think they're guilty.
Guilty, but I wouldn't punish the players. I punish the coaching staff.
And how do you
especially Harbaugh?
Suspensions, how do you do that
fines.
Specifically at the staff? You leave the kids alone.
Yep, that's what I would do.
Because you're gonna end up like what we're gonna end up talking about is
I
like
can
what Paul
appreciate that
Feinbaum
too.
said.
Yeah, I find the hell out of Harbaugh though. But go ahead.
But if you no, you're good. Like, but if you think about what Feinbaum said, if you take the national championship away, it takes it away from the players.
Yeah, well,
it's not taken away from it's taken away from the school, I guess. But you are kind of taken away from the players. I mean, it's a tough thing. Like as USC fans, it got taken away because Reggie Bush's parents got a house. Like it had nothing to do with it had nothing to do with what happened on the field.
Well, now
this is happening with what's going to happen on the field.
I was going to say that's the difference in the impact, I would say. But at the same time, the kids aren't facilitating the action at the top of these adults. Like I'm not saying college athletes aren't adults, but they are more or less being guided along in this. Right?
I think I'm on kind of the page with Trev. I think that there's got to be a hefty suspension to Michigan itself, and Harbaugh needs to be suspended maybe for like a year. Maybe he gets like a blacklist or something. Like when you're the top. But
you're saying both of you guys are saying strictly staff. Nothing. Yeah, you let the kids play. Win, lose, draw. They earn whatever they do on the field.
And then taking away the scholarships is another topic. I mean that hurts the kids, but still that hurts the university. So that's another maybe they take some scholarships too. But the school itself should take a hit, and Harbaugh himself should take a hit. If you're top dog, you're the head coach. He's on the sidelines. We talked about it last week. I know we're betting dead horse, but we talked about it last week. He's top. Like if you guys are my coaches, he's sitting like right here. Hey, but you're looking at play sheets. Like I don't know, man.
That's where I'm at too. Like I'd impose the biggest fine you can on Harbaugh. If there was other coaches, I mean, they've already gotten rid of that one coach.
Does really hitting him in the pocketbook mean anything, though?
I think it's got to be like a year suspension.
There's got to be something, yeah.
Yeah, the suspension too. It's just got to be.
These 3 games doesn't mean diddly dude. I get it that Ohio State is a huge matchup, and that will swing obviously the national playoff. That's essentially a playoff game.
It'll finish it. It settles it. But the one thing with that, I guess, though, would be he still coaches during the week.
Right.
Yeah, that shouldn't be over with. There should still be stuff coming for that coaching staff.
He should more or less be relieved.
Correct.
Relieved.
That would,
period.
I mean,
But Michigan's backed them the
maybe.
whole time now. But maybe since all this new information came, I mean, it was a...
Once again, as the university, you kind of have to. That's supposed to be your boy, right? And like, especially because like...
But you're supposed to be a student.
I feel like it would.
first.
Yeah, sure. That I mean,
I know.
that's what they're supposed to.
No,
be.
but like everybody else, like the whole university
That's not
is
what
all
it is.
students football.
No,
So the
not even
university
close.
is now got a black stain on it because of the football program.
Right. Well, yeah, and that's unfortunate. All of the news that is swirling around that you can't control, for sure.
And if they find the university that like is against everybody at the university,
It's just hard. I guess the overall is how do you levy a punishment that only damages the people that are truly responsible for it without affecting the students, the student athletes that shouldn't have to pay for the sins of
Correct.
other people. Like, because we've seen this song and dance, right? Yeah.
Yep.
So, but strictly from like, so if we're all taking that path, then I have to respect their third ranking. The team itself, the kids are playing very well. They've beaten everybody and quite handily. They've had a couple of scares earlier in games, but they've closed out everybody. Like they're a top 4 team. It's not to say that there's just this like, well, we're keeping them there, you know, because Michigan is a bigger program or whatever. Like, no, they have very quality wins, and that Ohio State game will be everything. So, do you think the loser still has a chance to make the top 4?
I'm out on that.
Okay, that's good.
I'm
So then-
with Michigan.
So then,
being
in theory,
appropriately
if Washington
ranked.
wins out, we control our destiny.
Yes.
We had that 4th spot is pretty much there for the taking as long as we win out.
I
Yeah,
mean, you guys want to jump right into the rankings and go right into, or do we want to finish the Harbaugh
Or
stuff?
just-
No, I like the rankings right there.
Yeah,
right?
let's
That's
get to it.
beautiful.
So
yeah.
while we're talking about the rankings, let's just go into okay. So number 1 is Georgia. They overtook Ohio State for the first time.
It should have been there already.
Number 2, okay, for Georgia right now, they are playing out of their minds.
Yes, they've gotten better too.
Yes.
Well, they needed to because they didn't look like the 2-time defending national champs earlier in the season.
But I think their quarterback has made
It's come a long way.
very good strides.
That's what you need.
So
That's
we've
what
talked,
you need.
we've talked a lot about Milrow, which we'll get into. He's made strides running the ball. I think Beck has made strides throwing the ball. Georgia right now has put up a lot of points against a lot of teams. They are
Well, and in the overall, man, you're a quarterback. You need to know how to throw the ball. Athleticism and the ability to scramble, pocket presence, all those great things as well. You know, being able to sneak out the back door and get 10, 12, 15, whatever is great. But, like, you got to move the ball with your arm, make the advancements. And Georgia is just so talented everywhere. I mean, they're going to be. There's nothing that's going to stop that machine moving forward.
so
Right?
well. They will
Best
get
defense in college football.
so
for
they're
years.
They have Tennessee today.
Yep.
So they have Tennessee today. So that's it's
It's
maybe
a top
test.
25
It's maybe a
matchup.
test. If Georgia blows the pants off them,
That
They
could
might.
say something.
And
That
then-
could say something.
we'll talk about Alabama at 8. They'll be the last team to talk about, but that's the last game for the SEC championship, boys. The Georgia
Right.
Seas.
Yeah, I think that covers it for Georgia pretty much. Just move it back
So,
to Michigan, right?
number
Or
2 is Ohio State.
That's right.
Which you guys are low on. You guys have been pretty much throughout the year, even though they've been undefeated. And I think that unfortunately, not unfortunately, but that Notre Dame win looks less, impressive now that they've kind of faltered.
They're still getting a lot of credit. I mean, as far as the eye test goes, I think Michigan should be there. I think they have the better overall team.
They're crushing folks. Once again, off-field stuff, or off-field that is affecting on-field sideways.
I think part of this, they look at you beat 2 ranked teams, you beat them
Sure.
this part, so that would give them 2.
That's a big deal.
They're fine at 2 right now because of who they have to play next
Yeah.
You
week.
It's
can't
gonna
argue
figure
them
itself
out
out.
of the top 4 regardless.
Correct. So then we go into 3. So 2 and 3 play next week.
Yeah, that's
Biggest game of the week.
biggest game of the year.
Well, for them.
Period.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
far, I would
yeah.
say.
So
I don't know.
far.
I don't know what else you could put.
It's
I
up
mean,
there.
Oregon, Washington
I
was
think-
big at the time because it was top 10.
I think
but,
that
like,
Oregon Washington's going to be another big. We'll get into that. Ohio State Michigan is the Big Ten championship game. It's everything.
Yeah,
for the
they
Big
should.
Ten.
Whoever plays in the East, or it's Legends and Leaders. Did they keep it that way, or East West? I don't know.
I think it's about to
whoever's
change
coming on the
regardless.
other side is going to get whacked anyways. Like it's going to be Ohio State or Michigan, right?
Yes, and whoever wins the game solidifies
their spot in the playoffs.
The other one,
assuming
is
that then
probably
they
out.
can go into the title game, and they do have to win it. They should, but yes, it is pretty much a.
Most likely they'll be playing Iowa. I think Iowa just needs a win today
Oh
to
my
clinch.
sweet lord,
so.
dude! Nobody wants to watch a national Iowa game. They score 3 points a game.
But yeah, there shouldn't be even talk about the loser between Michigan and Ohio State getting in, because that's just right in that Big Ten dig right there. That's
because if everybody behind them had one loss too, but if you're looking at an undefeated Pac-12 champion and you don't give them the nod over a one-loss
and a Florida State
and an
champion.
undefeated ACC who played.
Get out of here with that.
Which you
Not
could
having
argue
it.
played
Fucking
good
Florida
ranked
State,
teams.
yeah.
Okay,
Absolutely.
well, number 4, Florida State. You could argue that they played ranked teams too, but those teams aren't ranked now. But when they played them, they were
They
ranked.
deserve to be there. No, they have played a tough schedule.
Yeah,
They
if
have-
you're going to go according to schedule, they could probably be number 2. I understand, it's the number 2 school is going to be the Big Ten school, so they just kind of fall right in line behind them.
But yeah, if you're talking about 4 true undefeated champions of their Power 5 leagues, right? That's it right there. That's what you're looking at.
Well, number 5 is Washington, and they're undefeated. And
That's what I'm
they're-
saying. In a very overly competitive Pac-12 this year, you guys, we have highlighted a bunch of Pac-12 games.
Boy.
It has been phenomenal, which is dissolving you.
Which Washington this week has a tough game in Corvallis. They're actually an underdog going in.
Do you guys believe that you would?
Didn't you
send me that line?
I sent you that line because when I saw it, I was like, what?
The only reason I see that is because Washington's D necessarily hasn't played great,
Only-
so
okay,
the home field advantage.
I would
maybe,
say,
but that's the only reason I see it.
only when we have truly needed to. When we were going back and forth to USC, it was the defense that ended up getting the turnover and the stops. Yeah, they get 2 back-to-back to really close it out. So it's there. I don't know why we don't do it more, but it's because the team's built around offense, and that's what puts butts in seats, and everybody likes that 42 points and a half thing. But I think that there's no reason we should, on the road even, we are an undefeated team that has beaten top 10 teams, that has beaten ranked teams, that has gone on the road. Clearly, we should be favored, period. I think that irregardless, we should be favored.
And like we were talking about, if they win out, they should be the 4th team. This should be great
Bare
for
minimum.
the playoffs. Having a different team from each conference, that's what you want.
Well, let's talk about who they finish out with. So they get today,
another big game next week.
They get Oregon State.
Right.
Next week they get Washington State. Then
It's the Apple Cup.
they get the best
I love the Apple Cup.
one-loss team in the nation that's on a fucking tear.
Assuming that Oregon doesn't lose, God, that's nerve-wracking.
Which Oregon's number 6, so Oregon's
that's
got
the
Oregon
game.
State to finish with next week. This week they don't have.
So there you go. So they're hoping that Florida State loses one because they would sneak in.
I
kind of
think
thing.
that Oregon, if Oregon wins out, therefore, if Washington wins out, therefore, I think Florida State is winning out. I think Georgia
And then
is
they
winning
1,
out.
2, 3, and then the Big Ten.
And then
champ.
Georgia gets 2, yes, Georgia 1, Michigan, Ohio State 2, Florida State 3,
Pac-12
Oregon
champ 4.
4.
Yes.
But that's
Assuming that nobody loses up
Correct.
until the title game.
Washington and Oregon have to go in as 5 and 6. We can't have a fucking Pac-12 fuck up.
We
can't do
if
that
the Pac-12
stupid shit.
slips up, that
I know.
opens the door for Alabama.
Oh,
can't-
for all
dude,
sorts of shit on the back end.
We'll
It'd
get
be
to it
terrifying.
as Texas and Alabama next, but we can't have a fucking Oregon State
A
being
full-
Washington.
No, I know.
We
I
can't have a
know.
Washington State being Washington. Oregon can't have a misstep this week and then or a
it's-
misstep against
it's-
Oregon
They got
State.
the Civil War coming up.
We need those 2 teams to be at 5 and
That's
6
juicy.
going
Yep,
into the
that's
Pac-12
juicy
tournament
right
on
there.
a Friday night. We need that to happen.
Because the rest of the nation is not we've looked over the games and that's about it, you guys. We're kind of dry up on next week when it comes to top 25s and meaningful games.
So Texas is 7 and Alabama's 8. Okay, Alabama, I don't think has anybody until Georgia.
Yep, that's their only chance to.
Texas
be an
doesn't
option.
have anybody until I don't know if they get OU again or who they would get in that conference. I'm not sure. I'm not up on the Big 12 because everybody's lost so much. I think they get OU again, but maybe they get Kansas or
I don't
Kansas
think
State.
does it even matter unless the Pac-12 absolutely shits the bed?
No. Texas is blocked out of the CFP. They have no shot of getting in unless all hell breaks loose.
Right.
Alabama's a shot because if they beat Georgia, it jumps them to 4,
Whoa.
and then everybody else goes up 1.
God, that
Right?
would be mayhem.
Right?
Yeah.
If Bama, Bama wins.
Right. And
So Georgia, or does that fuck everybody else? And Georgia now is 4.
Ooh,
so
that would be that's a good debate. That's a really solid debate.
So that's where it would be weird. The Alabama-Georgia game is the only, other than the Pac-12, just
right, and shitting on themselves potentially.
Alabama beating Georgia is the only other thing that fucks up what we talked about with
Yeah, because
Georgia.
the Big 12 champion exactly would have to just absolutely hope for mayhem across the board.
Correct.
Yeah. But it's great though. I love these storylines. I love that I'm right in the thick of it. UW, just stay focused, please, because if what we just prognosticated is true, you control your own destiny, which means all you have to do is do what you've been doing, right? Now 10-0, we've only done that 3 times in the history of our program, so it's obviously rare. And I would love to go 12-0 and 13-0 and see what we could do against the real big boys in the nation.
And I think the other shitty thing that, we're all 3 Pac-12 guys. I think the other shitty thing about this year about Pac-12 is that you could almost argue that 1-2 of Heisman is Penix and Bo Nix, and then 3 is Jaden Daniels.
There you go.
You could almost argue that, and then whether you want to knock, Caleb could be in the conversation, but he's not because the team sucks and it's unraveled. But you could literally say 3 of the best quarterbacks in the nation this year are in the Pac-12.
Sure.
Honestly. But the 2 of the first Heismans, I mean, whether you want Jaden wherever you want to put Jaden, Bo Nix and Penix are in there with Jaden. It's those 3 dudes.
Yep. Not wrong. And yeah, the quarterback play in the Pac-12 is just
across the board has been
DJ,
fantastic.
who Chuck's got to see today, is
Ulangale, yeah,
dude.
Transfer. He's one of those guys though. He's got to lock it down. He's very inconsistent. When he's on, he's fantastic. But I've watched a good amount of Pac-12 ball. Fubo, shout out once again, dude. Y'all hook it up on the sports channels for the networks, like the West Coast networks. You got big ups there. And so I've watched a lot of Oregon State just because I love watching good football, and they've been a good football team. But he is extremely bipolar. Some games he'll come out and look like a number 1 overall pick. Exactly. And then the next time he comes out, he looks like a 3rd, mid, 4th rounder. You're like, what just happened to that guy?
He comes out looks like a 1st, and he comes out
That's
looks
what
like
I'm
an
saying.
undraftable.
And he can be flat, sure, yeah, no. So
because his peaks and valleys are
massive, which I'm hoping for a valley today. Right?
I am too.
For the sake of the Pac-12.
For the sake of the Pac-12, dude, I want
you guys,
Washington.
we're on the cusp of greatness. Do I think that we could beat a Georgia? 1 game out of 100, but we need to get to the 1 game, right? The only time that we made the CFP, we got wiped by Bama. It was the 1-4 matchup, and they just took it to us. So it'd be nice to get back. What would be amazing is to get back the last year that it was the 4. I feel like that title would mean the 12. I don't like the 12 hand raise.
This is the first year that 12 would make sense.
Yes, it would be a great year to push that forward. Hey,
what about just even 8?
We've always said 8.
Yeah, but that's not what they decided.
I know.
We've always said 8. This year, the 8 would be the fucking amazing.
Perfect. It would be amazing. It would be. Yeah.
But maybe that's what we could see in the future.
I guess maybe the concept of not the concept, but what the enactment of NIL and it sucks, but maybe chasing the dollar it's going to give us better matchups. It will in the overall. At the end of the year, it will. It sucks that we're getting rid of civil wars and we're getting rid of bedlams and we're getting rid of these really old beautiful rivalries that now have to become scheduled games or out of conference, I guess. But it. NCAA. I don't want to get into a rant.
No, you're good. We are going to get into an. Did we not get into an NCAA rant? We got a lot of hate on the NCAA. Kind of. They've been making.
I could sit here. We can make a whole pod. Yeah. 100%. But that's an institution. You can't necessarily.
We could put
it on one person, I guess.
The whole institution. Shit list.
So we went from coach to CFP. We're going to go back to coach role.
That's true because we didn't touch on a huge firing.
Which we called it 2-3 pods ago.
Sure.
We said that.
Well, we talked about it. We thought that it needed to happen.
We said that one of the biggest failures in college football is Texas A&M. Supposed to have number 1 recruiting classes.
Great recruiting classes.
They don't ever play well. Jimbo Fisher gets fired. He's owed $750, some ridiculous amount of money. 75. I don't know. It's some ridiculous amount of cash.
Yeah, because it was $100 million contract or some shit when he first signed on. It was supposed to be like for an eternity, and
these coaches start signing these contracts. Dude, Jimbo's never been good. He had Jameis Winston and exceptional talent at Florida State, and then the next year he had Jameis and exceptional talent, and they lost because they had the weak ACC, and then got stomped out in the first four by an Oregon team that got stomped out in the national title game.
That was a good one, though. That Ohio State-Oregon, that was a good national title.
Yeah, but if I'm another college, I don't know. I'm not in on Jimbo. Like he might get another job. Like they talk about him double dipping, but I wouldn't hire him if I was a prestige school. Like,
not prestige.
He's gonna get like a second hand school.
Homeboy should be at like Central Michigan or like Bowling Green or like. Let's be real.
After the way
this
he's
is
coached
a
at
massive
A&M,
fall from grace.
Yeah,
no,
get out of here.
When you have all the advantages at your back, the boosters, the program.
Yeah, they are giving him everything. The best of the best that you can get.
Top
Facilities
across the board. 100%.
Yeah, staffs. And this is what he did.
And he swung and missed, but bad, dude.
Bye.
Yeah, nobody's going to miss you at A&M, bro. A terrible tenor. One of the worst coaching hires of the current era, period. Unarguable. Just bad. So we did have to point that out. There's been a handful of different guys that have been let go mid-season, which is pretty crazy for the coaching carousel in NCAA.
The coaching carousel has been a little weird. We'll just throw out a couple of them. Brady, I think it's Hoke at San Diego State. He's retired, not necessarily fired. Mississippi State let go of their coach. Boise State let go of their coach.
Deep still, though, man. That's a hard fucking conference to win in.
So, I mean,
A&M is the job though for the top coach. Like they have the facility, they have the funding,
everything.
They have everything. They're the premier free.
They're in the SEC. They're in the best conference. They have.
As far as positions open, that's the top of the list.
And as a fucking Seahawks fan, we had to give up. We can't call ourselves the 12th man anymore because that is trademarked by A&M. They are the 12th man. We're the 12s. Like we changed the moniker because we got. They were going to screw pants off. Yeah, can't blame you there, I suppose. But like that is how rich the history of A&M is. Like they haven't been relevant because Jimbo has sucked.
And they had Kevin Sutherland before that, but Kevin Sutherland was only relevant because he had Johnny Manziel.
Yeah, that Johnny Manziel.
Yeah, he had the 1 year. And Mike Evans, lest us forget who he was throwing to.
Me some
Holy shit, dude, stud.
Let's jump in the NBA. So I know everybody saw it. Video.
It's not a video. It was on national. It was a national broadcast game within the first 3 minutes. Don't flex on that. That's a trash.
Hold on.
Draymond,
you saw the video
around his head
because you might not have seen the actual live. Like I saw it through a video. I didn't see it live.
Oh my god, I watched that shit live.
So we all saw Draymond, like Jaden Williams and Clay got into it. Is that Jaden Williams?
Yeah,
correct.
And Clay got into it, and then Draymond came in, swooped up Gobert.
Sorry. God, no, that was me.
Turned into a UFC
had him in a chokehold, dragged him around. Trev, I want to start.
Full on chokehold. Not even just this like warning, back up off my boy, but like.
I want to start with Trev. I want to start with you, Trev, because you're the Warriors fan, and then we'll go Chuck because he's the NBA guy.
Clearly, I have something to say, but yeah.
Trev, let's hear your Warriors because you're a Warrior fan, and let's hear what you got.
So yeah, I'm not a Draymond defender. I love him.
That is true.
I love him coming to the aid of Clay. You watch your teammates' backs. He was in on it. I don't. Man, Gobert though had kind of the worst of it though because he was just starting to get in on it, and then Draymond grabs him. I don't know how bad that choke was. It didn't look like he was really giving it to him, but he was definitely holding on. He could have let go a lot sooner than he did. 5 games, I think, is fair. In the overall picture, I think it's just good for the younger guys to get on the court and get some more growth in that development. I'm not really missing Draymond a whole lot. Draymond's into Draymond.
Chuck, I cannot wait to hear your fucking talk after you looked at Trev when he said 5 was fair. Go for it, buddy.
I just cannot believe they said they took his history into account. Bullshit. 5 games, 5 regular season games is a blip, dude. What are we?
No punches were thrown.
You put a grown man in a headlock.
He wasn't squeezing too hard. He's just dragging him. He's dragging him by the head. That's what it was.
Coming out and Trev, and I totally understand. Like.
I mean,
dude, this is NBA, you missed it. You missed the mark.
There was
on
no
this,
injuries
dude.
here.
I don't care, bro. If I'm Rudy Gobert, I'm putting it out on
Gobert.
blast.
Nobody
that-
likes him anyways.
It doesn't matter. You just put me in a chokehold on national television and made me look like a bitch. So,
Hey, don't touch my boy.
The point of the matter, I'm coming for you.
Hands
Draymond.
off Clay.
Hands off Clay. No, hey, look, they should have been able to squabble it themselves. They should have been able to squabble it themselves. They would have been fine. Like,
Well,
don't get me wrong. I love coming to the aid of a full-blown headlock, y'all. We haven't seen shit like this since, like, the Malice in the Palace. Like,
Anybody getting a headlock in that? I don't remember. I don't think so.
no, Ron Artest was just
That
fucking
was
two
fists.
pieces,
Yeah.
motherfuckers.
And that's not what this was. He dragged him away, just happened to
The
be around the
suspension
neck.
was too light. The suspension was too light because Draymond is too comfortable with doing shit like this. He is. He came out and was basically like, I saw this quote where he was like, I'm being me. Nobody's going to tell me, yo, new, this is year 12. This is who I am.
Exactly.
I mean, we've seen the highlight tape of Draymond and his
5 games?
activities
5
on
games?
the court.
Dude, NBA, like, I think he missed the mark on this. And, like, it's
What do you
sucks.
think would have been appropriate since we're there?
Honestly, that's a great call. I appreciate that. A quarter of a season, 20 games. Honestly, like, that's fucking ridiculous. You do not get to do that. That's nowhere in the rules should you be protected to fucking put a dude in a goddamn chokehold who wasn't even involved in any of the scenarios that was actually going on. You just presumptuously grabbed this fool.
Like, he is going at Clay when Draymond gets there before he does, really.
And anything below the neck, a little push, a little shove, even grabbing a motherfucker towards your face, sure. A fucking chokehold, that is, I'm sorry, I'm not backing down from this. I think that is absolutely insane.
I'm not going to back down either. I don't think they're not throwing punches. This is he's dragging him away. He's really not choking off his air supply. Yes, it looks real bad. I give you that. But I don't think it's as egregious as you're making it out to be.
I love that word, by the way. Egregious is one of my favorite words, and I think it is. I think it was above.
Let's get
I'm gonna step in and be the
I
neutral
think it was
position.
above what needed to happen.
I think that the suspension was too light because it was Draymond. If it would have been
If
like
it's
some
somebody
random dude, 5 games, whatever, because it was Draymond, it should have been higher because he went in there to just do it because it was him.
Okay, so now where do you fall on the amount of games?
I don't know if I like 20, but
Too
I
much?
don't like 5.
So 10?
I'm
10 to 12
I'm more in the
maybe?
middle of that 10 to 12 because I think it still needs a sting, but I don't think 5's enough. But I think 20 is
Too much? Okay.
But
Honestly,
but
yeah.
I
I think that's more appropriate.
But I
can appreciate
do
that.
not. But I do not think that it was BS because it was him.
Yeah,
Because he went in there and
that
did
makes
it.
a difference.
And I do
He
agree
should.
that
His track
I don't-
record is exactly that.
I don't
They took that into
agree.
account.
I don't agree with Trev on the fact that he could have went in with a lower push, like shoving somebody in the chest is a whole lot different
Sure.
than grabbing by the neck. So I do on that part, and I do think that it was a grab around the neck, but it necessarily, like Trev said, wasn't like he
Wasn't
didn't
a
have
choke, he
sleeper.
grabbed
He wasn't trying to make him tap by
Correct.
any means.
But I do think
Should've
that
tapped.
because
I
it's
could agree.
because of it's Draymond,
History
his
has to
history-
play a larger role.
it should have been 10, maybe 20. 20 sounds like a lot, but I kind of want to lean that way because it's
10
it's
to 12 then. 10 to 15.
It's
somewhere in that window.
his history. It's not some guy, and it was and Rudy.
And
if
then
Rudy
he
would have,
brags about it after it.
I don't
That's-
care about that. It's
yeah.
more the fact that
Okay.
if Rudy would have been like in on Clay and then he yanked him off, yes, I'd be on more Trev's side. But he wasn't like on Clay, like on Clay. So that's like my. He was just going in. Like you could have easily like thrown him away or pushed him. Like you could have done something else. So I'm more in the middle of what you guys.
If you want to drag some,
Actually, yeah, I think that's
you
fair.
could have grabbed him by the waist. You could have grabbed him. Yes.
That's not to Draymond's character at all. Who are you talking about here?
But I'm not a. I'm not a big
If that
Draymond person.
doesn't put a final stamp on this is a warrior guy telling you the temperament of this man.
Correct.
Still though, it looks bad because it's around the neck, but he's pulling him away. He's not choking him out. He's not throwing punches. 10, I would think would be fair. 10 or 12.
But
5, that's what they gave him, and they said
punches.
they took it into account
They
with
did,
history.
they did say that as well. I don't know. I don't like any of it. But on court, come on, you guys. Let's get back to the actual.
Do
there's
you want
gonna
to? While we're talking about on court, let's just jump into it. What on court stuff have you seen lately that's been impressive?
I think the Mavericks have kind of taken me a little bit by surprise. They've been playing better ball. The fucking Grizzlies are terrible. I don't know if you have looked at this at all. That is true. He said miss the playoffs. Homeboy is very
I thought they
out
would
in
be
front of
better.
that. They are last in the Western Conference. That is
Unexpected.
unexpected, and now Marcus Smart just got hurt, so he's out potentially 3 weeks. Like, that's meaningful to a team that doesn't have anything right now.
I'm not mad about it though.
No, sure. I mean, like, the Grizzlies can still be a team that falls into relegation, if you will, that nobody's going to give that much of a shit about.
Well, and at the beginning of the season, they lost probably my favorite Grizzly, Steven Adams.
Yeah. He just seems like a solid dude. I'd have a beer with him.
Yep.
Cheers to that.
I like
he
Steven
seems
Adams.
like a good dude. Aussies normally
Yeah,
seem
I gotta
like
catch
good
up.
humans.
The Celtics look really good.
Oh my god, they sure do.
Boy.
We knew all three of us are Drew Holiday likers or lovers.
Have been since the days of the Pelicans.
I
appreciate the player.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pretty
A very
sure
heady,
that
good teammate.
He has just solidified that team.
Yeah,
I'm
no.
pretty sure that just happened.
I think you guys had them at 1 because of the
No,
addition of
I did.
I did.
just Trev.
Because
we
I
had
couldn't
Bucks
do it.
where we
Why
both,
couldn't
'cause
do
I
it?
know, yeah.
I can't do it.
You had to see it come together, but the pieces look so
It's
good on paper.
10 games
Dude,
in,
he-
it's fucking right there.
He
It
is
is
so
right
good
there.
because he is a fucking defensive dude, and he is a dude.
He's
Like,
a
when I'm talking about
perfect
dude, he's
Boston
dude.
character.
He
He's
is
a
the-
perfect Boston
It
character.
was a perfect fit, and that's
It
what
is.
they
He's
needed. They
the-
needed
he's
that
the-
point guard.
He's the leader that they didn't have.
There you
Tatum
go.
and Brown aren't.
That's what
leaders.
Smart thought he was.
And isn't.
And hasn't gone down to Memphis and proved it. He got an opportunity and now he's hurt. So, but
Upgrade.
NBA, so they're coming into the second round of their play-in tournaments. Get rid of those fucking floors. They're awful. Oh my
I
god,
thought you liked
they're
them
bad.
a couple episodes
Did I
ago.
say that? Then
Yeah,
I was
she did.
wrong.
I don't
Well,
like them. They're too much.
Some of them are.
I guess I'm
It's
like
nice that-
50-50 then. Like,
I'm not. I just
It's
go back to
different.
regular.
It's trying to catch your eye.
I
But
saw,
it is a lot.
I
It's a
saw
lot of
the
different
Laker
colors.
one. I saw the Laker one and the Sun one, and I was like, "Yeah, that's the Golden State one." There was a couple of Golden State ones
okay?
that were fair, that were good. Yeah, that
It
were.
makes my eyes want to throw up.
I'm not sure if that's possible. But
Well, I also think that Dame has been playing great, and I think that when we went there, we all thought that maybe Dame would take over some of that fourth quarter scoring.
of course, and he has. He has. Dame time has played out in Milwaukee so far.
What did he put up the other? Did he put up 40?
It was like 38, I think. Yeah,
Close to it.
yeah.
I think that we talked about the Celtics solidifying themselves with Drew. If Middleton and Lopez and Giannis are all healthy going into the playoffs, the addition with Dame being healthy going into the playoffs has solidified the Bucks too.
That's
Like
so
we're gonna
many
see,
points that you just didn't have at your disposal,
Dude.
right? Like
we're just gonna see this like head to head.
Milwaukee,
I hope
Boston would be like the dream matchup right now, right? I mean, I know you're a Warriors fan, so obviously you want to see your team, and you're a Lakers fan. And you
But
wanna
those
see
are on the
your
West
team.
Coast.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
East
this
Coast.
is East. This is going to
That's
be before
our,
we get there.
That's our Eastern
Oh, that
Conference
is very
Finals.
true. I'm so sorry for Milwaukee.
But
for some
both of those
reason.
teams have got to be the favorites as far as gambling goes,
It's
for
gotta be.
sure. And
Well,
I
one,
like
two,
to
sure.
put money on either one of those teams and feel good about it.
And the team that I put in the finals, the Nuggets, Jamal Murray. Dude, you got a hammy thing going on. That was
Again, with the
never
injuries,
good.
man.
Not good.
Hammy's that soft tissue injuries linger.
It's like the
And-
worst thing,
and-
almost.
And for the
Almost.
Nuggets to be, I think to the Nuggets have a shot to get there without him. For the Nuggets to beat a Drew Holiday Celtics or a Dame Bucks,
So
they need Jamal Murray to be
Yes.
on the court.
100%. Not even.
If they
not
don't have
even
a chance, he's
80%.
not
Yeah,
there.
no, he facilitates so much. I'm not saying that Jokic isn't a bad man, and
He's great.
Yeah, Porter Jr. is fantastic. They have some really good key players. KCP has stepped up on that team. Like,
Gordon's been really
Yeah,
they
good.
might
Aaron
not
Gordon,
even
I'm
make
sorry.
it out of the West without
but
him. Though.
I mean, for real though, he facilitates so much more. Like, he is a true point guard. And it technically could be a 1 or a 2, but like he does both great.
Yep.
That team needs him. Period. So Downey, let's touch on something that's a little close to your heart. All right.
Yeah, we're gonna give some shout outs.
Shout out.
We got a little bit of Brewski left because we got a lot of awards to hand out.
good. We'll do some cheers to the
A lot of
awards.
awards.
To the winners.
We're not going to
winners.
give the Gold Gloves and Silver Sluggers. Look them up, though. If you're a baseball fan, look them up. Look who the guys got Gold Gloves. Look who got Silver Sluggers. Dude, there's some real studs in there.
Yeah, no, it was a great year of baseball.
God, it was such a good fucking
some
year.
of the early season predictions were way off, but like Trevor on the Rangers, I was on the Braves. Like we had a couple of fucking decent,
Yeah. We called Phillies almost getting there. We had the
Yep.
Braves winning the East, and the Phillies.
Man,
getting
Phillies
wild
came back
cards.
strong.
Yeah. So manager of the year, right? Let's start with managers. We gotta love managers. Skip Schumacher, old player. Remember
Yeah,
him
he is,
back in the
yes,
day?
yeah.
Manager of the year for the fucking Marlins.
Really?
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. Got him in the playoffs. He at least got him there. I mean, they didn't. And they're one guy that
Well,
we thought was
because
going to win
2
this.
years ago they were a laughing stock. Like
So
they
big
were,
come-ups.
Yeah.
Well,
that
remember,
is-
we thought that Sandy, his last name's he
Oh, he
got
won the
hurt.
Cy Young. That's right.
And so he got hurt
previous
this
year,
season.
Right.
So manager of the year for the AL, give it to Chuck and the O's. Chuck was one of the only ones that called the O's get into the playoffs.
I do.
So
Yeah, I looked at that team at the way they ended last year, and I was like, if they stay with that heat, they could make. And
they did.
They did, but they didn't do diddly do in the playoffs. So,
a young team. It's a
Yeah,
young team.
but exactly though, that's what I'm saying. The juice is there, Baltimore.
but
like,
you got to keep the juice there. You
gotta
can't-
keep
next
the juice.
season.
You can't
Keep the
aze
juice.
it. You can't aze it. You got a young team. You got to keep the young team together. You can't
Agreed.
just start dishing. Let's go rookie of the years.
Okay.
Saw this dude actually play in Reno for
There we
the
go.
Diamondbacks. Corbin Carroll, dude played out of his mind in the fucking playoffs.
What position is he?
He plays outfield.
Okay.
He fucking 25 bombs, 54 steals. He's made him the first 25-50 rookie in MLB history. He played at the Aces Stadium down the street. We saw him go off in the playoffs. He played great in the playoffs. The D-backs themselves excelled.
Oh
Yeah,
my god!
another young team
So
that's
far in front
Yes.
of, so far
way-
ahead of schedule.
yes.
Way ahead of
See
schedule.
if them and the dude, it's
them in the
for us as
coming
like
up.
baseball fans. It's so cool to see the D-backs and O's have good teams and young. You just got to keep them going. Don't aze it,
Well,
guys.
see,
Don't aze it.
here's the thing: is like that. If the MLB is going to recapture part of the market, they have to get younger. You know how you appeal to younger people is getting younger people being successful. If all the old heads are the only ones taking over, then younger kids aren't going to resonate with that. Like you got to keep the juice. Keep
Yep.
the juice. But don't actually juice MLB. That's bad advice.
American League Rookie of the Year from the O's. Gunnar Henderson had a great Rookie of the
What
Year.
a great name.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, he's an up and comer. You expect to see him in more types of award type talks.
All right.
Now Cy Youngs
Who would they have gone to this year?
nationally went to Blake Snell
Okay.
from the Padres,
Right.
which was like the only upside of the fucking Padres.
I was gonna say because
Yeah.
the rest of that team
Disappointing.
was very. We were all high on the Pods coming into this year.
He had-
miss.
Yeah, he had another great year. This is Blake Snell's second Cy Young.
Hey.
I think he barely beat out Trev's Brandon Webb.
Okay.
But maybe not barely, but Brandon Webb was second.
He was up there.
But yes, and then for NL, Garrett Cole, maybe the only bright spot for the Yankees because Judge got hurt.
He's a stud.
Dude, Garrett Cole's just fucking
Stud.
great.
Has been for a while.
But
for sure.
it's only his first, you know that...
Cy?
Yes, I think it's only his first Cy Young.
How crazy is that? Because he's been more relevant in other years that he didn't win the Cy Young.
Because he's been runner-up twice.
Right. On teams that were going deep though, they were making
Astros
playoffs pushes.
and on the
Exactly.
Yankees, I think he was
Yeah.
runner-up each time. And
The
I
year
think
before, yeah, because this is his second or third year on the Yanks.
Yes. Yes.
Well, shout out to the MLB, man. Good wrap up there. Like,
Hold on, we still got MVP.
sorry.
We got MVPs.
Oh my goodness gracious!
Chuck called this one. Me and Trev each went Turner from the Phillies, which Turner made
Let's
that
go
great,
Acuna.
which made that great move. But Acuna
Acuna was
had
it.
an amazing year. We
Should
talked
have
about
bet that. If there was a season-long bet, I should have
Oh,
bet that. That's the
should've.
one that I would have hit.
Acuna's year. I think we talked about it. Him and Otani, and the Otani won the AL, which I think
He
there's an
still
argument.
did. He even.
I think
did
there's an
after-
argument for Corey Seager to
Who
go.
is that great?
I think there is an
won.
argument though. If you dug down to go Corey Seager for AL,
Yeah,
and
he
have
makes sense.
dude, he was fuck. You could do
Fire
if you went, dude. If
in
you
the
went
playoffs.
into the argument, I think you.
But
could
it's not a
really make-
playoff award. That's
Right.
the problem.
No, but he was second in batting average.
It's not to say that he didn't have a great regular season, right? But
You could
he
really
was supreme in the playoffs.
But I think
my lord.
I really think if you dug into Otani's numbers and Seager's numbers,
You could make the argument.
yes. But we talked about Acuna all the time. We talked about Ohtani all the time. We were given updates, maybe our only MLB update.
They were making history.
Exactly. So it was a great year of baseball. The awards, I think, went to everybody in the right way.
Good.
Right? I think it really did. I'm glad that we got these up and coming teams. So, cheers baseball, and then we're going to take a break, fill up our brewskis, and come back with some quarterback talk in the NFL.
Yeah, basically, do you think your team has to make a move at quarterback? And if so, do you draft him high, draft him mid, draft him low? Should be an interesting. There's a lot of meat on this bone, right? A lot of teams have some quarterback controversies potentially, and injuries play a big deal into this. So
correct.
Stay tuned.
Even drafting a backup quarterback is very important. Look at what we've seen.
Should be.
Look at what we've seen.
Yeah, especially this season, man. We'll get into it coming up next.
All right, welcome back to Balls and Brews. Cheers, boys.
Yeah, cheers. Round 2. Fight.
That's pretty tasty.
Ooh, hey. I wasn't expecting that either.
What are you drinking? What are we drinking, Charles?
No worries. Oh, wow. I like the way it kind of backed off. It's a West Coast IPA. As you can see by the can, it's Belching Beaver, laid back in his little inner tube, just chilling. West Coast IPA. So all your standard, basically what we just drank without the juiciness from the haze, right? Drinks at 6.2. And just shout out, I guess I've been wrong about the location of this brewery. Belching Beaver is from Oceanside, California. I did not know that. I thought for some reason I had it stuck in my head that they were an Oregon brewery.
Huh.
You think with the beaver possibly, that makes sense.
Maybe that was it. Maybe it's just like a
Corvallis area.
Specifically, it shouldn't make any correlation.
Surprised they don't have that.
But yeah, so very good. Drinks that I said, 6.2. So right there in that IPA pocket, right? Like not too much, but it has very citra, very
it does.
very lemony front.
Yes.
And then it kind of backs off on the end. The hop isn't super.
No, I do like it because it's not very. The hop isn't very aggressive at the back end. I enjoy it. We've had 2 good beers today. Good. Really good beers.
Hell yeah.
Drinking a lot of good beers.
That's all we do.
Yeah.
All we do all day.
So let's jump into this week's games. What we're going to do is we're going to tell you what the game is, and then we're just going to say whether we think they need to draft a quarterback high, mid-round, or they're good with what they have. Let's start with Thursday night. This is probably one of the bigger games of the week, ended up being a spanking. Bengals are at the Ravens. Score was Ravens 34, Bengals 20.
Well, there's a bigger story here.
Burrow gets hurt and Andrews gets hurt. Now they're saying Andrews has like a big
potentially he's done for the season too.
Both done for season. Mark Andrews, tight end. That's one of Lamar's best weapons.
Guy.
That is his best weapon.
Yeah, and then it is. And then Burrow's done, so that's Bengals are done.
Golly, man,
what
that
do you guys?
sucks.
Obviously, 2 of the top 10 quarterbacks. What do you think they need to make some better adjustments? Jake Browning's the backup right now. He'll be playing the rest of the year out of Washington. What do you think Bengals need to do?
Well, they're just going to ride the season out, right? You're not going to draft. Burrow is the dude. He's just got to get healthy. So, I know you just ride it out. It sucks. Maybe you get a better draft pick, I guess, is kind of where you fall now. Because you're 500, right? You could still compete for a wild card, I guess.
And Browning didn't look bad in his time in. Again, he's not going to be Burrow, but it's nice to see maybe some growth from him, especially if you're a Washington fan, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, sure. It also comes down to the idea that this won't affect. I don't think this will affect Joe Burrow long term kind of thing. So either you'll get him next year. It's not like you have to panic.
Yeah, but
it sucks for this year.
Yeah, this year Bengals out of the playoffs. Their schedule is way too tough. Baltimore, they're the favorites.
They're running away with it now, especially with a 2-game, lead. As far as lead, and also they beat them twice. It's that AFC North is Baltimore's to lose.
No quarterback needed
for either team.
God no with Lamar. We only touched on Once again, though, here's the point of the season, though, where the last 2 years he's started to get banged up. So it really all depends on the completion of the season, but you have to legitly say that Lamar is a starting quarterback.
Are you worried as a Bengals fan that Joe Burrow goes under that can't stay healthy type? Now it seems like he's always got an injury. He had an injury in college, remember, at Ohio State before that he even went to LSU.
He has had a history.
Are you now worried that he's that injury-prone player?
I don't think I'm quite there. I think if he has another injury, I'd get there real quick.
They've all been very different injuries.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, it's not been like ACL one side, ACL the other, like Achilles, ACL. It's been like shoulder, then it was like his fucking wrist, it's been his calf, and several different things.
And I know I said no quarterback for each side that's needed, but I feel like in Baltimore with their style of football, you can get a player that runs your style better in the later rounds. So that's always a swing I would take.
So I agree with Trev. I think that this is the year for Jake Browning to, if Burrow's done, this is to solidify his backup position. But I do think that Baltimore maybe could use Brett Hundley's okay, but maybe they could look at getting another backup that runs like that, runs a system like that in that 4th or 5th round type area. Let's jump into the next matchup of the week. Is the Steelers at the Browns.
Another big
God,
division game.
Deshaun went down. We haven't even touched on that.
Oh,
This is the first time we're bringing this up.
Here we go.
Yeah, we're talking about injuries all the way through it, dude.
Another big quarterback injury in the North.
This is the year where there's been more quarterback injuries and everything. So, Chuck, let's start with you on Steelers-Browns.
Well, the Steelers aren't going to draft. Pickett is what they're going to go with at least for the end of this year and probably next year. So unless they lose the rest of their games, like Pickett's going to be the dude moving forward because he's going to be good enough to get them potentially in the playoffs, which is always enough to not draft a first-round quarterback, right? So maybe mid to late if you're not being stupid because it's not bad to have a backup quarterback. Cleveland. Oh, man. Deshaun Watson had rounded into form for like a half of football, right? Like it was just
another greatest failure at contracts.
Man. Draft another one. Why not? DTR's there. We'll see what he has.
Yeah, he's got a chance.
So I mean, there's still like you don't have a 100% when you're not solidified. Keep drafting is basically how I look at it. So for Cleveland, I don't know if you're going to draft high because it depends on how quickly Deshaun can get back. But you still got to throw darts. Cleveland, maybe second, third round.
With that contract, you know that Deshaun's going to get another opportunity to be the guy.
He has to.
Going forward, DTR, how he plays this season is going to determine whether they need to dip back into that draft or whether they can stay with what they have. For the Steelers, I'm a little higher on drafting a quarterback. Pickett, I know he's been good in moments, but I think those moments have been too far and in between. It's like late in the game, he had a couple moments, but I don't feel really that comfortable going forward with him. I bring someone else in. If someone falls, I'm drafting that guy high just to compete to see where it goes because I don't think Pickett's really just grabbed a hold of that starting spot. He's in a position that I feel Ritter was last year. Ritter had a good finish to the season, but he's kind of come out this season and proven that, they could probably go elsewhere.
I think I agree with Trev on the Steelers one. I think that they take not necessarily a first-round quarterback, but they look in with this draft, you could get a 2 or 3, and I think that 2 or 3 maybe pushes Pickett for his job. I don't think Pickett's excelled. That team is
being outgained every game.
Outgained. Dude, their defense is the only thing that's keeping them in it. They win because their defense gets good field position. They played the field position game, and then they get like a defensive touchdown, and then they have a couple field goals, and they may get one off a touchdown.
They're kind of like the Vikings and the Giants were last year. They're having a better year than what they really are is how I feel.
And then I think with the Browns, I don't think they take one unless it's real low. because of Deshaun's contract, and then with DTR, and then with PJ Walker, I think that their quarterback position is pretty solidified.
All right.
Next game of the week, it should have been a big game. Well, Chuck was hoping it would have been a big game. The 3-7 Bears are going to the 7-2 Lions. Chuck, go ahead. Since
I
the
was
Bears,
higher on the Bears.
since the
I
Bears were your
suppose.
team,
They kind of were, and I took Justin Fields in like the 6th round. Don't I look like a dummy? That game. So I don't know. It's tough. Chicago's got great real estate in the draft right now. Right? They're like 1, 2, or 2, 3, or like
because it
Two
depends,
top
on where,
picks.
depends on where the Panthers. So what Chuck's
fall,
saying,
right?
they have the Panthers first pick.
They
so
sure
where the
do.
Panthers finish and they finish. So right now I
Could
think
be
it's
1
like
and
2
2.
and 4 or something. I
Okay,
don't
so
know.
by winning that game, they
Something like
that
that.
didn't necessarily help them, but they did
Correct.
beat the Panthers. Anyway, so yeah, like 1 and 3 or 2. Either way, they have 2 top 5 picks.
Yes.
Oh man, I just, if you go through the draft process and you fall in love with one of those dudes that is going to be there at 2, 4, whatever, I draft him. It's the what have you done for me lately league, and Justin Fields hasn't done it for you lately, dude. And is he ever going to develop as a thrower? You brought in some talent for him, and even when he was healthy, he couldn't deliver the ball very well. So
He's starting this week too.
yeah, absolutely.
About time.
Yeah, so I mean, I think if you, it depends on the love of the prospect coming in this year. You absolutely should if the guy is there. If the guy is not, then continue to build the team. Like, you don't force it, kind of thing. But
And go ahead
probably
and touch
high.
on the Lions real quick too.
That's an even better mid. They need to start thinking about life past
They
golf.
took Hendon Hooker last year.
Oh, that is true.
That's why I think they
That
don't.
is true. Okay.
That's
Thank you.
why I
Okay,
think
quick
the
touch
Lions
on
kind
that.
of just sit where they are. The Browns.
I forgot about.
the
I was
Bears.
wondering the other day who took Hendon Hooker, and it
It
was
was the
that's right.
Lions.
No,
It
that's
was like
exact-
4th round.
Yep.
So then, I mean, it wouldn't be bad to pepper the room with like another youngin or like a practice squad guy kind of thing, because you don't know what Hendon Hooker is. You
If he had
hope.
been starting for the Raiders,
And
right
he's
now,
27,
taking
right?
Where I wanted it.
Yeah, he was an older rookie because
Yeah,
he's been
so-
around so long.
But overall, though, yeah, good.
For the Bears, I think with knowing that your pick is going to be so high, you move on. You're going to get a new coaching staff. This is time to reset. This is time to get the guy that you want.
Didn't comment on that angle.
Get what you
Call.
can for Fields. It's just kind of how it's played out. If things would have been different, then maybe you do something different. But I think it just makes too much sense.
And if you do it right, it could be a real quick turnaround, right?
Yes.
You could flip it within probably a season or two.
I think Trev's totally right. Coaching staff done. That means Fields done. They'll be trading him for a 4th, 5th round pick to somebody that wants to take a flyer
I
on
mean,
him.
somebody's going to take a flyer.
I will at 4th or 5th round.
It's
I
third,
would
maybe
too.
maybe
I
a
would.
3rd round. And maybe they get a 3rd. They got a
I'll
3rd for
throw you a
Trey
3rd.
Lance.
I'll throw you a 3rd.
It's
Or
Justin
Trey
Fields?
Justin Fields is not a
For
Bear,
sure.
and if he is a Bear next year, he's not starting. It's the kid that they're taking wherever they fall. I'm correct for Trev and the Lions. Lions are standing pat. If they do anything at quarterback, it's some weird 7th round, 6th round pick.
No 6th round pick unless you're Tom Brady.
7th round Brock Purdy.
Mr. Irrelevant.
Chargers at the 4 and 5 Chargers at the 3 and 6 Packers. I think this is an
Two
easy.
frustrating fucking teams.
I'll let
overall.
Chuck take it, but I think it's kind of an easy on each way. Easy each way, I guess.
Yeah, you if you want to find a steady backup, throw a dart in LA. If you're Green Bay, golly, man, yeah, let Love go. If you get a top 10 pick and that guy's still quarterback, yes, quarterback Green Bay, yes, LA dart throw if they want to. Herbert's the dude. He's just got to stay healthy. But Green Bay needs help. Green Bay should be on alert for
Herbert
quarterback,
needs
I
more
think.
dudes to stay healthy on his fucking team.
That would help. I mean, again, I bring Staley into question, but I'm in 100% agreement with Chuck. That's exactly how I play it. You any different?
No, I think Herbert's a stud, and then I love Herbert. He's one of my favorite people to watch play football. I think that the Packers. I think Jordan Love is playing for his starting job, and if he doesn't play good through the end of the season, they are taking a dude either in the first round or second round, depending
And
on
he'll be
the
lucky
level
to
of the
travel around at that point.
I
He
think
doesn't even
they're-
have enough equity to like necessarily fall onto another
To another
roster.
team.
He's gonna have to compete. Yeah, I
quarterback.
don't
He'll be
think.
the backup Aaron Rodgers
I mean, for God.
over Zach Wilson.
Yeah, why
He's
not?
better than Zach.
It only makes sense.
But yeah, I feel like the Packers have to take somebody though.
I do too. I do too.
They gave him the 1 year. They gave him this year.
Yeah, because
and the growth has stunted quickly.
And I think
quickly.
we were all in agreement that because Aaron didn't show up to training camp last year, Jordan Love should have already had a step up kind
He's
of
been
with
in
playing.
that system for so long.
Well, he's been playing with Christian and Romeo already for years, and with the running backs because he played all through preseason because Aaron wasn't there.
100%.
So then this year was almost like another so he's already had 2 full training camps / preseasons to get used to these guys, and it's not. He's playing for his job, and then they're either
I
whatever.
think
happens.
he's okay, is where I'd put him.
Correct.
Not awful.
He
but
could be an okay backup.
He's
Like I
a
said,
backup status.
Backup to
with
Aaron
his
Rodgers.
play.
New York Jets next year.
Unless he has this switch that hits in the next, he has a pretty ball. He has thrown some pretty dimes. I will say that, but it's super inconsistent. It's not enough to say this is the guy.
He's Daniel Jones-esque. No, where he plays good here, and then all of a sudden, you're, dude, what the fuck was that? He's so Daniel Jones.
Okay.
Well, let's use the fucking next game. Giants
That's
2-8.
why I went in.
Commanders, right?
Commanders 4-6. I think this is another easy one, and I fucking said it. Call me. I am the common sense denominator. You should have franchise tagged him at $35 fucking million, not signed him to some ridiculous ass contract.
Yeah, big fail. Big fail. Giants got to draft a guy.
I want to hear everybody's. I think we're all in agreement on that. I want to hear everybody's opinion on the Commanders. I want to hear yours first.
Really?
Because you played the Commanders last week.
I think Sam Howell can be the dude. I mean, I'm not saying you don't throw a dart throw behind it, throw a mid to late. Why not? Like, it's not solidified 100%, but I think
really
Howell,
don't have a
he's
strong
leading
backup
the
either.
NFL right
In
now
passing
in
yards.
Yeah, I mean, come on, like, and
Dude.
his touchdown to interception ratio isn't great, but it's
He's
not
running
awful.
for his fucking
That
life.
offensive line is not very
Yeah, I think we're
The
all
offensive
in
line.
agreement. Washington's got to address the offensive line high in the draft, get that taken care
Before
of.
quarterback.
Before
quarterback. For
Quarterback,
sure.
yeah, maybe take a flyer.
No, but
I like that. I like that third / fourth round pick.
but in New York, God, they're going to be desperate for quarterback.
You're
What do you do?
dude, you're 2-8.
You take on a high end quarterback in the draft, and then you just ride the pine with your $40 million boy.
You got to eat the fucking bullet.
Oh man!
If Caleb Williams or
That's-
Drake Mazer, dude, you have to take him.
Pa.
You're 2-8. They're,
I mean,
unless you play yourself, unless you get like that sneaky weird dude, they're playing. Who
awful.
knows?
They're
Badgett.
so bad. They're so bad.
You,
Yeah.
dude,
God,
unless
the
you get a
Giants are so
sneaky
bad.
win.
There's no reason not to. It's
Right.
just you would have never seen that dichotomy. Like that is such a. That's so being stuck between a rock and a hard spot. Like
Because of that
we haven't
contract that
seen-
they did.
I know that
I think it's an easy.
GM Downey over here.
It's an
was,
easy. You have to
saved
take,
you.
you have
So
to.
do you then you
gotta
cut?
eat the
Then
ball.
if you're gonna eat the money anyway, then you have to cut Jones and just eat it entirely, so you can get it off the team.
Might
get
as
him
well.
off the team. You can't eat
Tyrod
it in the locker
Taylor
room.
showed
Tyrod
that he
Taylor's
was
a
as
fine
good,
backup.
if
He
not
always
better.
has been. Tyrod's a stud, dude. I got nothing but love for Mr. Taylor. His career path has been odd, but he's always been successful.
He just got hurt again. I mean,
that's the thing. That's the Tyrod thing. It's
Um,
injuries.
so I think we're all in agreement on that one. This
Yep.
next one's
Yep.
gonna be interesting. So you got the 6-3 Cowboys at the 1-8 Panthers, who actually don't have a first round pick because
Right,
the Bears
because the
have that
Bears
first round
pick, yeah.
Go ahead, Trev. You took this game in our bets, so why don't you talk on it first?
Well, I took the Cowboys as much as I hate to admit it. Again, they failed
You
me
bet them
before.
too much.
I just,
hit on him though.
I
against
took the
LA.
Lions. I took the Lions this week.
I feel like this game should be a blowout. Carolina has been real bad.
Real
and
bad.
I don't see it getting a whole lot better. Like they
Frank
might.
Reich's taking over the play call.
dude, they don't have.
He was the play caller earlier in the season. How did that go?
They don't
They
have.
didn't win a game.
The Miles Sanders stuff doesn't look good. The offensive line doesn't look good.
It's a big disappointment in Carolina.
Adam Thielen's the only receiver that does anything.
Yeah, defense hasn't been as good as you thought it would be.
Burns, I think, is hurt.
offense just hasn't been it all year.
At all. No, they've looked off time.
Young, I still would give some space to. I don't think you're drafting a quarterback with your second pick, your first pick in the draft. I think you're still trying to build around him, give him another opportunity.
You have to. You have to. You just swung the biggest deal for him. You got to give him at least a sack a year.
And in fact, I don't even see them taking a quarterback with how they played this year. They just have so many other positions to address.
Everywhere. They need that offensive line.
You worry about a quarterback next season if Young doesn't step up. Right now, it's all about building around him. And
For
then,
the boys?
For the boys, man,
He's on a contract here, ain't he? Or looking for an extension?
No, he's deep in his pockets, bro. He's still got 2 or 3 more years, doesn't he?
Because of his contract, I think at best you would take a guy in the mid-round. I don't know, though. Cowboys are a little bit...
The Cowboys are not going to draft a quarterback, so we'll just say the reality of the matter, whether we think they should or not. And I think I just commented kind of in the middle of your Panther take with that. I agree with that 100%. Like they're not going to. They can't draft behind. They can draft later in the rounds. So Bryce Young shouldn't be threatened. If you draft a quarterback too high, then you've basically just said like. Although, because it's not Josh Rosen, right? We don't think so?
No,
like
it's
Josh
not that
Rosen
bad.
to Kyler Murray, right? So then in that case, you can't spook your young fucking quarterback that you just traded way too much for.
I think that the Panthers no-go on any, like you guys said. I do wonder about whether the Cowboys coaching staff stays the same if that quarterback position would be taken in more of a third-round gesture instead of a lower-round gesture.
100%
Because I don't know, Dak's all his guaranteed money might already be out.
Okay.
So his cutting him or trading him wouldn't necessarily take a big hit.
Bringing in someone else to like learn as he's playing in front of him.
So I think maybe not first round, but I do think the Cowboys maybe looked at, maybe not second either, but definitely third to start bringing somebody else in to
take a look at it.
Take a look at. I do.
I can agree with that.
Next game is another interesting one, which I don't think either team would. But Titans at 3-6 and Jaguars at 6-3.
Oof. Jags, no. I don't think that they're going to need to draft a quarterback. I think Trevor Lawrence is clearly the guy. You move forward with drafting around him. And then, I'm sorry, give me the other
Titans.
Titans. Oh,
3-6.
Well, with Levis right there, another dart throw wouldn't be a bad idea. You know, it depends on how things fall. If a guy is there in the second round that you didn't think, just like Levis, why not push him a little bit? I don't think that Levis has earned the job entirely by any means, right? So
I think this is a no for both teams.
Okay.
With Levis, I mean, you just took you had Willis the year before. You've spent capital in the draft on that quarterback position. Sure. You got to develop one of those guys, I would think.
Okay.
And then the Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence, solid. You're going to roll with him. A backup maybe, but later rounds.
Yeah, I think Titans maybe no-go because you move on from Tannehill.
You definitely done with Tannehill.
Yep.
If there's any narrative for the goddamn Titans this offseason, it's no more Tannehill, right?
Levis is probably your starter. This is your backup.
Or at least...
Maybe you take like a 6th or 7th rounder. Jags, same thing. Maybe you take a guy 6th, 7th round just because maybe I don't know their backup situation, but you move on from backups to keep the money situation going.
That too. That's always good for the cap.
So that's those. The next one I think is interesting on one side, and I think it's going to be a pretty good debate. You got the 2-8 Cardinals at the 5-4 Texans. So I have taken my loss on CJ. He is the starter. He's ready to roll. I want to hear everybody's opinion. I think we're all on the Texans side on that. What are the Cardinals going to do at quarterback?
That's a fucking great question, isn't it? Kyler Murray came back and was fucking everywhere.
He looked like
he was everywhere. He was dotting dudes up and running by motherfuckers.
Yeah, the talent is there.
Holy shit!
But he doesn't play. The problem is he doesn't play inside an offensive system because he doesn't get the ball out on time. So
it's
that college system.
It's the backyard. football that makes him successful, but oh my God, was he electric, dude.
He
It
was.
insane to watch. Just to come back from an ACL and look that fast was absurd, but oh my God. If well, he's 1-0, so if he plays you out of those quarterbacks, then you kind of, he's got 7 more games, right? Like, he could really change the trajectory of where the Cardinals draft. Like, so if he does that, then you don't draft a quarterback. If he turns into a pumpkin, as it were.
What happens if you trade him? Is there any kind of trade to get
Oh,
back?
yeah, you could absolutely. Well, I mean, you have to wait till the offseason, though. It depends on where you're drafting. You're not going to trade away the guy that could win you 10 or 11 games the following year if you don't have a high enough draft pick, or you're going to have to get that really high draft pick out of him, right?
I can see both sides on sticking with or moving on from Kyler. I think the Cardinals end up sticking with him, though.
What is everybody's thoughts on Kyler rated to the quarterbacks that could be coming out? You guys like Kyler as a quarterback? Do you not? I mean, it's exciting to watch him, but
not really in the overall, because when his arm is needed, it's not always there. He can really move, and he can really chuck and jive and like dodge a lot of like bullets, but when it comes down to, is he going to make that beautiful throw that you need to change the game? Nah, he's just not.
I think Kyler is a top 10 quarterback when healthy. When healthy.
Okay.
But there are those question marks. Definitely. Again, his commitment.
that's what makes me the most nervous.
Yeah. The talent, you can see it watching him on the field. He can bide time. He can let things open up so you can get that guy that just breaks free from the coverage.
So fast.
Man, it really comes down to their coaching staff and how they feel about him. Man, I don't know.
So what is GM Money doing?
Well, I mean, being a Niners fan, I just
Shut up! No, come on.
I'm like rooting for the Cardinals to just
Trade
figure out a way to
away
mess
and draft
this
a guard.
up. But like I said before, I think they probably stick with him. I think the talent is enough where that seems like the logical move to make. It just really comes down to that coaching staff on how they feel that he can run their system. If there's any chance that you feel like he's not the guy, then you should move on from him 100%.
Okay.
But again, I think because the talent usually wins out.
Buys you a longer leash.
They're going to give him that leash is how I
Okay.
see it playing.
Next up.
I think that Kyler Murray is a good quarterback on a bad team and will never be a good quarterback on a good team because he doesn't play inside the system and he doesn't execute when the execute needs to happen. I think Kyler Murray will be a good quarterback on a mid to bad team and will be electric, but will never be a good quarterback on a good team.
And before we move on from this game, I got to hit on the Texans. Okay, obviously, C.J. Stroud looks like the rookie of the year. He should probably be in the MVP discussions as well, just because, I mean, the guys that are up at the top as far as gambling goes, you have Mahomes, you have Hurts, you had Burrow. And all those guys, I think, are kind of just grandfathered in because we know the players that they are. Nobody's really grabbed that MVP trophy at this point of the season.
Max Crosby.
And I mean, we know it's not going to go to a defensive player as great as his play has been.
Votes.
But the Jaguars have a tough schedule coming up. Texans have a chance to get into the playoffs. If they get into the playoffs and C.J. Stroud continues to play the way he is, I think he's got to be the guy for MVP right now.
I agree, Trev. Next game. Jets 4-5 at the 5-5 Bills. Go for it, Chuck.
Jay Allen, stop turning the ball over. Stop turning the ball over. You're so wonderful to watch on a football
Can
field.
we give him a running backs that don't fumble? Can we give him an offensive line that
No,
blocks?
I don't disagree with any of that. But he also doesn't help himself.
Yeah,
I do
I got a
agree.
lot to say
And
on
I
this
think
game,
Sean
too.
McDermott
You think he's out?
I think I had him in my top 5 of quarterbacks or coaches before season.
Yeah, well, they fired Ken Dorsey. They took the fall guy in the OC, but
it looks like Dayball was the magic in Buffalo.
it's still like I don't know. Okay, but I'm still not. Strictly quarterback. I'm not overly concerned in the idea that like I would start throw. Why not? But like I'm not doing a first or second rounder as the Buffalo Bills. No. Jay Allen has got the talent.
I got other stuff.
There's somebody who's going to coach him to that electric level that he can play at. Like he'll be fine.
Give me another receiver. Give me a fucking running back.
An offensive line. Yep. 100%. There's a lot more that you can build in Buffalo for sure. And the other team,
the New York Jets.
Jets. So the hot button issue is if Aaron Rodgers can come back and look like a semblance of himself, right? He wants to come back next month. Was the rumor that he had this amazing surgery and that he's going to be able to play in December?
He's throwing on the practice field.
Sure,
50 yards, 60 yards on the practice field.
If he comes back and he even looks remotely towards himself and he wants to commit to another year, then dart throw once again. It's not bad to.
Keep going. Sorry.
Well, I appreciate you. I just think that it just should be a later round. Not that you shouldn't swing, but it shouldn't be high.
You want me to go? You want to go?
You go.
Jets. You got to swing at offensive line early in the draft. That's got to be the primary on where you move your team towards. After that, if you want to look at a quarterback, obviously Zach Wilson doesn't look like the guy, doesn't look like the backup. You're going to draft a quarterback at some point who's there, where in the draft, I would guess mid-round. Again, I think the first round's got to be offensive line.
Anywhere else.
The Bills, Josh Allen, I don't mean to be a Josh Allen defender, but there are other things wrong on that team. Yes, he does force the ball in certain situations that he probably should not be doing. He obviously should not be doing. But I still like him as a top 5 quarterback.
I think the Jets take more of a third round instead of a 4th to 5th. I think your first 2 picks are offense line, and then you take quarterback because Zach's not the dude, and you need to have something ready that's half decent for when if Aaron gets hurt again, that defense doesn't have to be winning games.
Yes.
Bills-wise, I think that you have so many more needs.
Yes.
Once your linebacker got hurt, your defense looked like shit. You need a better backup linebacker, which, and then your cornerback got hurt. So I think you need depth everywhere else. Quarterback is, I know Josh needs to make better decisions, but you have a lot of needs everywhere else.
Well, just to touch on defense real quick, they brought in Douglas, and if they get healthy on defense, that defense should be all right.
But Milano and what's his name are done for the year.
Yeah, that really hurts that defense a lot. But you're going to get those guys back. I think offensive line is still, and running back is still a bigger concern.
I think your first pick should be fucking offensive line. Your second pick should be a running back that can not fumble and can pound. And then you look for some type of receiver at some point. Stephon Diggs and the kid you took this year, Kincaid, are the only 2 weapons you have. Gabe Davis is like a fucking...
He was kind of that connection in the playoffs last year, and that, at the end of last year was like, yo, this kid could be it, and then this year.
Well, 2 years ago that was.
Was that 2 years? Yeah, that was 2 years ago.
And then last year you took him in the draft.
I thought I was high on him. Yeah, it was just the end of that fall.
And since we're on the Bills, just real quick,
next time you get to a Super Bowl, win one.
That's not where I was going.
No, that's not. I couldn't help myself.
Oh my God.
Boy, I love
What was your point, Trev, before we move on to the next one?
Oh, fuck. No, I forgot.
So the next one is the Vikings and Broncos.
2 weird goddamn teams right now, right?
6-4 Vikings at the 4-5 Broncos. Go ahead and take it, Charles.
Both are drafting, period. No, I think that Russell Wilson has had himself. He's having himself a year for real. He's not the problem in Denver right now. Like there's some issues on the defensive side of the ball. Obviously, like they've gotten better since getting blown the fuck out. Like they're not giving up 70 on average by any means, but like you could draft a dart throw if you wanted to in Denver. Why not? Like mid to later, I would think. And then the Vikings, you got to draft high. You do, because Cousins is gone and he's ailing. He's aging and ailing. You're done with Cousins. You are Minnesota. You're drafting high, regardless of where you are. You're swinging. You're moving equity. I think. Because that roster is pretty fucking decent. 1 point.
First round.
Yeah, no, but you got to swing upwards. You're gonna, if you keep winning, you might be in that lower. So you're gonna have to swing, they're gonna have to move some equity, I think, and that's the first team that Minnesota, you're too good not to have a quarterback.
This year might not be the year you might have to move too much, because I know you might not get the Drake or the Caleb, but there's the Penix, there's JJ,
there's quality
Jaden
outside.
Daniels,
I definitely see
Bo Nix.
those
There's
quarterbacks.
like a thick number that you could get.
That was 6 right off the top, right there. So if you're even saying any of those are all first rounders, then,
I think you could touch all 6 in the first round.
Yeah, and again,
And that's not even the Riley Leonard or the Jordan Travis. Sorry, Trev. Those
No,
are like second
you're
round
good.
dudes that still make plays. Like, this is the deepest quarterback draft I think we've seen in a while. I'm very
Sure. We do know that. We'll touch on that.
I'm with you there. I don't know if they actually move up, because we were talking about. We'll see how it gets when we get to that time. But as of now, I just feel like there might be one of those guys around where they're picking. So I don't know how much they'll have to move up if they do.
Yeah.
They're definitely, I would consider taking somebody early, of course, and in Denver. Probably not as early as Minnesota,
Right.
but I'd still have them mid-round drafting a guy at least.
Why not have
maybe
somebody
second
nipping
round.
at his heels, right? Why not have somebody pushing Russell Wilson
Even
for the
though
strike? Because right
Russell
now he's
isn't
nothing
really
there.
the issue right now, though.
He's not, but it's one of those things where it's still fucking Russell Wilson.
I think Vikings go first round quarterback, and I think Broncos go third that fourth round. I don't think they go past up third round. There's other needs that team needs.
100%.
Yes.
But I don't think they go past. I don't think they take just like a 7th round.
Sure, no,
I think
they're taking somebody that's going to push Russell Wilson.
Last game before we get to our teams is, I think, an easy ass answer too. Like, probably the easiest answer out of all of them. It's the best game of the week. It's Monday night.
Super Bowl rematch.
Oh,
8-1 Eagles
gosh,
at the
darn.
7-2 Chiefs.
This is such a good matchup. Like, blessed be thy name, because this does not happen a lot of times in the NFL, right?
Thank you.
Yeah, because a lot of times the Super Bowl, somebody goes on the hangover, and then this matchup looks boo-boo. One team's doing okay, or the other team's doing terrible, or they're both doing terrible, or what. But, like, okay, quarterback-wise, you're fine. Both of these teams are fine. They're not, if they're drafting a quarterback, it's late.
Yeah, there's no quarterback being
no
drafted in the
controversy
early
here.
or mid rounds
No,
for
yeah.
either of these
No.
teams.
My only thing would be that the Eagles would take one. Eagles might take one, and the Chiefs will take 0. The Chiefs should take 7 receivers in the draft and see if they can
7 receivers, jeez.
Jesus.
GM Downey's been a little outlandish, but not wrong. So, I mean,
the Chiefs definitely got to figure that out. But no, the Chiefs don't take a quarterback. The only reason I say the Eagles maybe is just to have that backup because
super
of
maybe,
Jalen's
though,
play
right?
style.
Like,
Because of
super maybe.
Because Jalen's more of an injured guy. I'm not saying a 3rd round guy, but like a dude that like a guy that maybe you take in the 6th round that is got a lot of talent, but is not going to play for like 3 years because you got to develop him type of guy, but can do the running that Jalen does. Just because Jalen does run and gets banged up, if you need that athletic dude to jump in for like a game or two while Jalen's getting healthy, I think that would be the only reason the Eagles would.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% with you there. Again, they kind of have that Baltimore style. So it's a little bit different than your traditional quarterback. You can get a quarterback that's better for your style later in the draft.
Correct.
Might as well just take a shot.
Yeah. I'll start with my game first. The 5-5 Raiders at the 6-3 Dolphins.
5-5 Raiders.
I think that
That does sound better than 3-5, doesn't it?
only
a lot better.
reason I think that the Raiders take a quarterback, but it depends on how Aiden finishes. If Aiden finishes good, then you build other stuff and maybe take one 4th, 5th. If Aiden doesn't finish good, you're obviously in the pickings for one of those 6 names that we mentioned earlier. I don't see why, if you finish strong, that you go out and fuck up the chemistry of what you have and draft a 1st rounder when you could have other needs at cornerback, at fucking defensive line, at offensive line, which you could fill in that 1st round and get a damn good starter. Dolphins-wise, I thought they missed on not taking Hendon last year. Tua stayed healthy. That offensive line has stayed healthy. So I still think you take a quarterback. I can't. Oh no, they have. I mean, they got a bunch of backups and
Yeah.
Mike White and stuff. So I don't think that the Dolphins take one unless they take one late. Like real late. Like late.
I think the Dolphins don't need to take a quarterback. The Raiders, I take a quarterback. It kind of depends on how the draft falls. I agree that the first round pick probably isn't a quarterback unless one of the big names drop.
Or if Aiden just plays like shit, then it's just like, okay, then take it.
I definitely see them more in the second, third round, probably looking QB though. Just to bring that guy in to compete with Aiden. Aiden was a late pick, so you're going to want to bring in some competition to at least, I think, make it more of a competition than just handing him the job unless he really just kills it into the season.
I think it goes to coaching staff again.
Yeah, that too.
It has coaching staff as well.
What you got?
I mean, that's pretty much it, man. I don't want to beat it. Aiden O'Connell controls his destiny, for sure. He does. And Tua, you draft behind Tua, I believe. Because of the worry. Like, it's Mike White has been okay, but like you don't want him to be. I don't know. We've come to find out that the backup quarterback is rather important. And
Skyler played okay.
But he was terrible in that playoff game. Like
two guys that are okay for the
right.
backup
So that's
position.
what I'm saying. So a dart throw there isn't bad, and then. I just touched on the Raiders. Yeah, I'll say it again. Is that like Aiden O'Connell can play himself into a starter, or he can play himself into getting drafted. Like the Raiders can go both ways, big time.
Yeah, because if Aiden plays good, then the coaching staff probably stays.
But, this kid's young. We got him on that rookie deal. Let's build around him. If he shits the bed, it's like, hey, we have a pretty high pick. We can get another guy. Like so, yeah.
I think each one correlates with each other.
Sure.
Quarterback plays good, and the coaching staff coaches well. Pierce and Aiden will come back. If Aiden doesn't play good and the coaching staff goes, I think it's drafting first round quarterback with the new regime.
Sure.
Makes sense.
The next game, Chuck, let's go with you. Seahawks, the 6-3 Seahawks at the 3-6 Rams.
Gonna pick them pretty much.
Yes,
because they're
in LA.
I know that's the reason why it's close and.
And the Rams coming off a bye. That's why I think it's a pick 'em.
That's why I do too.
And that team is just our kryptonite, man. We are a better team than when we played week one. They absolutely handled us week one. It was a really tough way to start the season. It was getting punched in the mouth in round one, literally, is what happened. Like, we were supposed to beat that team. I think we were favored by like 5.5 or whatever, like a touchdown. And we got beat by 10 points. It was bad. 14. It was bad. Like, but we are both different teams at this point. Like, I think Seattle's come together in a lot of ways. That defense still needs to tighten up. Bobby Wagner's an animal, but that secondary, even though they make great big plays, they're not consistent enough. They don't shut down the way that they need to. They give up yardage. They gave up 300 plus to Howell last week. Now, 119 of it went to Brian Robinson and 46 of it went to Gibson. So, like, almost half of that went to running backs and not quarterbacks or wide receivers. I'm sorry. But, like, Seattle, your secondary's got to get a little bit tighter. As far as the quarterback, I'm sorry for drafting the quarterback for Seattle. Yes. Gino, I love you, dog. I mean, if Penix is there, we have a first rounder. It depends. It depends on where we play ourselves to. If I want a deep playoff run, by all means, I'm focused on this year. I'm not trying to say I want a high draft pick to get one of those guys, but if we are in the first round with one of those names that is just staring at you and Pete Carroll's like, we can develop this guy, then do it. Because
Penix would fit your system almost the best.
Absolutely, 100%, dude.
Hometown guy too.
He's a West. He would be beloved instantly. It would be like, you know,
because Jaden doesn't fit because he's more of the runner than the thrower.
Bo Nix isn't the guy. He's kind of a Russell Wilson-esque, I would say, you know, but like, I don't know. True. I think that we are now. Shane Waldron wants a passer, not a runner. So if we're gonna, stay with the institution, then yeah. But I don't think we will do that. But I would be very happy if we did, to be fair. And it's not because I'm shitting on Gino, bro. It's just you're year 13, year 14, we're right there where we have to prepare for the future, bro. It's not that I want to put any ill will on you, but like Father Time is undefeated, dude.
It just makes sense for team building. You got a young team, might as well bring in another guy.
And we built his contract around the idea that we can escape from it pretty easily. So at the end of this year, we won't hit a massive cap. Like it's kind of right there. It just depends on how the draft falls.
I mean, I would predict it as Gino's going to be the bridge to whoever you take this next draft.
And then the Rams should absolutely draft a quarterback because it's
But
hard to say
how high?
Well, they don't do. They weren't able to get rid of the first rounder. They have a first rounder, right?
I think this is the first year that they have.
Then first round. Then first round.
Even if Maddie's healthy.
100%.
I mean,
Sorry, Maddie's once again in that Geno sphere. Like, he got his chip too. It's not to say that, Stafford hasn't had a beloved career. It's just, if you don't know when you're going to have the availability to get that guy that high again.
Sidebar.
Sidebar?
Stafford, a Hall of Famer.
With the ring, yes. He's got 3 5,000-yard seasons. He had Megatron. He kept Detroit relevant. Came to LA and won a chip. Hall of Famer.
Yeah, not first ballot, but I think he gets there.
Oh, sure. Not shoe-in where everybody's like, for sure, but like...
I think it depends. The only thing that depends on if he's first ballot is who is on the ballot with him.
I mean, that always plays
There
a
are
part.
weaker years, for sure.
So getting back to it, I think that I agree that...
Good sidebar.
That the Seahawks look to see who's there in the first, but more take a second-round pick, and then unless somebody else they fall in love with, then they know they can fall at 3, get one at 3. And I think almost the same thing with the Rams. I think it depends on who's there, when you're picking, what Sean McVay.
It's the finishing of this season. If they finish boo-boo, they're going to draft high, and they should take a quarterback.
I think it's like also what else is like on your team. Like you hit with Puka, so Cooper Kupp staying. So now you got the quarterback. Your offensive line's played pretty well. You've drafted well in these late rounds.
Good right there, yeah.
So running back is a need later on. Defense is
you can find those later, though. That's the argument.
And it just depends on is there a defensive player there that you love more than the quarterback wherever you fall in this draft, because it's going to be a good draft with defensive players and with the quarterback position.
Yeah, and we're in 100% agreement. With Stafford's coming back this week, he's had an injury history now, so they got to look at a quarterback in this draft. It's just where they fall. And then the same with Seattle. Yes, Geno's been better than expected, but he's not a young guy. You got to look towards the future. You got a young team. It just makes sense
that quarterback
to draft the guy.
Is rich.
I mean, again, it depends where they fall. Second round sounds about right to me.
If Penix, I watch.
If we draft in the mid-20s and Penix is there, you better fucking take his ass.
I have not seen.
You better take his ass. I swear to God, Seattle.
I have not seen a mock draft with Penix in the first round yet, which blows my mind.
In the first, really?
J.J. McCarthy is usually the third quarter coming back. Jaden Daniels has moved up into the first round now.
I could understand that.
And then you see some Bo Nix flashes, but there has not been a mock draft with Penix in the first round, which blows my mind. Ryan Leaf came on the Dan Patrick Show and said that Michael Penix was his number 1 quarterback over May and Caleb.
He throws
now, I think that seems like a hot take right there, just because
Orlovsky was a big fan of May. Orlovsky's in love with May.
Just
intangibles.
Penix again, just being
it's not playing in
an older guy, a smaller guy, left-hander. Like, there's things against him that doesn't make sense. I think to be that number 1 spot, but he's definitely up there.
Dude, it would make so much sense for the Seattle
honestly,
system.
he's not athletic. He's a great thrower
He's
of
pocket
the football.
passer.
Right, correct. He's got to be in the right system. He's got to be
fit
dialed in.
The Seattle Seahawks
100%.
almost to a fucking
Oh my God, dude,
Yes.
100%. Yeah,
Great
DK
pick at the end of the first round.
DK would love Michael Penix. DK would love Michael Penix.
Last game that we'll talk about, I think, is kind of an easy decision too. I kind of can't wait to hear everybody's thing on this. The 4-5 Buccaneers at the 6-3 Niners, who absolutely demolished the Jaguars and made them look like not a very good team.
Yep. I mean, that was my bet last week. I saw it coming.
After
the bye, I knew that defense was going to get right.
I was the one who got it wrong.
I got to be climbing on
I was the one who got it wrong.
I got to be climbing on
It was
win
so
or loss.
close. We were so close. They came down to the last play of the fucking game.
I got to be climbing our win and loss thing. I'm on like a little tear here.
Well, good. Good. Let's see. Let's hope we hit this week. Golly, man.
But the Niners, yeah. It's not that they're back. They never really left. They just had a couple things that had the kind of injuries. Yeah, getting Trent Williams back was huge. Getting Debo back, of course.
Sure.
And then just kind of finding their way. Like both the games that they lost, there was just it was.
It's a hiccup. It's an extended hiccup.
They weren't being themselves. They were playing outside themselves.
Very good roster.
Yes. So.
Do you draft a quarterback?
No. Well, I mean, if you want to take a flyer, sure, late, but not needed. I see this probably not drafting a quarterback. Purdy's the guy. And then whether it's Darnold or someone that you bring in
there's a rotational guy somewhere out there that you don't need.
Just that Fields.
You want to take a flyer on that? That makes sense.
Wow.
Mac Jones is going to get released.
That too. I'm sure we'll give him a look too. Man, we didn't touch on that. Like, do you see the
they have a bye this week. Well, actually, we're going to go over the bye teams after Trev's game.
Okay, we'll get to that then. And then, who are we talking about?
Bucks.
Oh, Bucks, yes. You got to draft a quarterback. Mayfield's been all right. He hasn't been... The Buccaneers have more than just him as the issue, but I'm thinking that coaching staff could change. You're going to want to bring in your guy. Baker, he seems like a Band-Aid and not the answer.
Chuck, you want to go? You want me to roll?
I think that's fair right there. I'm not going to exhaust much more than that in the idea that, yes, Tampa Bay is that quarterback-needy team that, once again, depending on how the rest of the season falls, if the dude is there, fucking take him first round. Mayfield is that exact thing. He's a Band-Aid. He's not the worst quarterback ever, but he's not the franchise. And then San Francisco, oh, man. I'm... Purdy is good. He is good.
He's good enough to be the starter.
Is he great? We still don't know. I won't cast him out of being able to be great because he's been very good. Very good. But can you put a team on his shoulders? I don't know if you'll ever have to find out because that team you have is talented as fuck all around.
Hey, this is only his second year as a starter.
They're not going to draft a quarterback high. They're not. They might take a flyer. There you go.
I think that the Bucks take a first or second round quarterback, and they don't go any lower than that. I think it just depends on who's there in the first round.
Absolutely.
But the Niners, I think there is no quarterback needed. I do not think Purdy's great. I think that you put a lot of quarterbacks to play with who's on that team, and with that play caller, I think that there's a lot of quarterbacks that would play well, especially when and I said it, I think quarterbacks in play for 4 years, understand. I think Aiden O'Connell will play really good for Shanahan. I think there's a lot of guys that would play good for Shanahan. I think that Trey Lance was very underdeveloped and could not pick it up. I think Trey Lance would have been better to be drafted by a worse team that would have been able to do something. I don't think Justin Fields could pick up Shanahan's offense. I think you need a dude that is going to be able to sit back there and read through the routes and make the plays. We see Purdy make crazy shit. The touchdown he threw last week should have been picked like a mofo. That should have never happened.
Picked like a mofo.
He's not great, but he's good, and he understands Kyle's offense. Sure. And that's the best thing. So as long as Kyle and Purdy stay together, no worries. And they keep that talent there, fine. With the Bucks, though, first, second rounder, easy peasy. So let's talk about the 4 teams on a bye. So the 4 teams this week are the Falcons, Colts, Pats, and Saints. I think it's pretty easy for all 4, actually. So, Chuck, why don't you start and go through all 4? Go through all 4 when you go.
Okay. Saints, yes.
Where?
2.
Yeah, you keep your coach, too. That's another thing, too.
Dennis Allen's not the guy. Atlanta, you've put equity in all of that offense, and you never quarterback, and it hasn't paid off. So if you shit the bed the rest of the season waffling between Heineke and Ritter, then draft high. No, and first pick for the Falcons. They should. The Pats, Mac Jones clearly isn't the guy, and Bailey Zappi his shine is worn off too. Draft high. There's no reason not to. If there's so many. How many have we? I think I've given a lot of high grades out here, dude. I think that there's a lot of quarterback hungry teams.
I do too, and I think that's the year that.
And then I'm sorry. Please give me the 4th again.
Colts.
Oh no, that's the one that's a no because you just used your 4th overall pick on Richardson, and if you can teach him not to try to be Superman, then I think that he can, play in this league. But he thought he was invincible Cam Newton status, and it busted up his rookie year. I think he'll really take a look at that and then, transition. But athletically gifted, they're not going to give up on him.
Agreed. Richardson should be the guy going forward. You haven't seen enough from him to move off of him. Gardner is a great backup. You don't have to look quarterback. The other 3 teams, yes. So let's start with the Patriots. Gronk was on a podcast. Kay Adams just earlier this week, and he pretty much just shit on Belichick. He really did. And I 100% agree. You had this guy that made the Pro Bowl as a rookie, and then you did nothing but throw things to make his job even more difficult. Instead of making it easier like you see good teams do, building around the quarterback, just nah, we're not going to give you that big play offensive player. We're going to give you a defensive coordinator that's never called offense. We're going to make him your play caller. Let's see how that goes. Oh, let's take you out for this other guy, Zappy, because let's see what he has.
You start him the very following week.
They've done nothing for Jones. If they had any chance of making him the guy, they've handled it the worst way you could, which has got me on this Belichick rant that he's been shit on for being a GM, but you got to shit on him for being a coach. He is not coaching well at all right now.
At all.
It's just not. He does not look like a good coach at all.
Agreed.
And I think that's the Patriots have a lot to talk about when you get to that.
First round quarterback?
A first round quarterback for all those teams. The Saints, maybe you hang a little bit further back since you have probably the best guy with Carr still being there, but he hasn't had a great year.
Him all the way to the Super Bowl.
Well, I thought the offensive line was going to be as bad, and they just haven't played well. I think that for the Colts, I agree. If you take anybody, it's later round. Patriots and Falcons are first-round quarterbacks. Patriots and Falcons also might have new coaching staffs. The Patriots will have a new coaching staff. I don't know if the Falcons will or will not, but both first-round quarterbacks, Saints, you're looking second, third round. Your offensive line is not good, and you've invested in it. You've taken a couple people in the first round.
True.
And I think you will have another coach as well. So I think that you will take probably an offensive lineman. I know that a lot of teams we've said offensive line first round. That is something I think the NFL has been really bad at this year. We've seen a lot of bad offensive lines.
Yeah, no, it's been a trend.
Do you think it's just because the defensive line are getting better?
I think it's a little bit of both.
Well, yeah. We haven't really had... I mean, there's been a couple high prospects on offensive line, but for the most part, it's been so-so.
But there you go. There's our breakdown of what each team needs for their quarterback, draft high, going into the following year or not.
Yeah, so let's jump into common sense. Texas A&M, we talked about earlier in the show, needs a new coach. Right?
Well, clearly, yeah.
They fired theirs. They're paying millions to that guy for being fired.
So they went out and offered Dan Campbell a head coaching job. Why in the fuck would an NFL coach that was on a winning team and not fired ever go to the college level? You were at the top of the mountain. That's it. You're an NFL coach that's good. That's it. That is the top of the mountain.
Yes, he's not going to take that job. But being a former alum, they do their due diligence in at least reaching out. That was just like a big Hail Mary, though. That wasn't going to be the play. They got to look elsewhere for that.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that there's no true defined common sense this week. My thought process, but we didn't want to necessarily get into it, was with the Burrow. Do you think he was hurt before they let on? Do you think that he popped his shit just in? It's kind of under a mystery. It's kind of like there's conspiracy theories right now.
I think that, okay, it wasn't popped until he threw it, and the player's going to want to be out on the field if he feels that he can't, if he could throw, and felt like he could throw until that happened. So I don't really.
But to speak on Dan Campbell, don't go to college.
Well, just any coach. Why would you leave if you were an
don't
NFL coach?
go. Yeah, no.
I think a more interesting idea is them talking to Dion. Now, Dion just got to Colorado.
What did I tell you was going to happen with Dion?
They had that hot start, and now they haven't won a game. They're not going to make a bowl game. They after their last loss on Friday night, that's not going to happen. And then it doesn't. They might not lose their next game either. I think it's against Utah. So yeah, I mean, better than last year.
I'm sorry, I'm kind of happy to see it. I really am.
I don't think he needs to go to Texas A&M. I think he's staying just to quiet all the critics.
I think so too.
Maybe.
But I mean, I just bring it up because he was such a hot hire.
But either way, A&M needs to find the guy.
Yes.
They need to. There's too much rich in that program not to have a good fucking head coach.
Is there a guy that comes to mind since we're on that?
No, college is crazy because you can find some offensive coordinators that nobody knows about. You'll hire some kind of committee to help you look. I've heard Lane Kiffin thrown around, but why go Ole Miss to Texas A&M? I think you're kind of at this point. You've done so well at Ole Miss. You're not really
Duke's
climbing.
head coach would have finished strong, I could have seen a candidate in him. But
I think he's still a possible candidate, but maybe not high on the list. I mean, I've even heard Kingsbury's name thrown back into the mix, coming back to the game. I mean, I don't know.
Give me him as offensive coordinator.
But if he went back to college is so much different than the pros. I mean, I know it wasn't real successful there at Texas Tech, but I still feel like his offense is something that would be desired in college, and that would be another option. I don't know who else you want to throw out.
You never know. There could be some Delaware or South Dakota or some other coach that's been killing it. Maybe James Madison coach gets an offer. It's hard to tell with college because of how big the landscape is, of how many coaches are in the college 100% landscape.
In the ethos, for sure.
Yeah. So let's jump into fandom. Chuck, you want to start off the old fandom?
I have. So once again, this is another one of those just walking around the house trying to, come up with ideas and thinking about things. And you guys, I have to confess something. I have a newer fandom. I guess it ties into sports in a way. It's I have a sneaker fandom, you guys. I've been paying way too much attention to when certain Nikes are dropping, the olive 4s are coming out, which are gonna be fucking dope, and the fucking graffiti 3s are about to drop.
I don't even know what that means.
It's just Jordans. These are just Jordans. These ones are just Jordans. I've been paying attention to dunks and different it's all Nike though, which is I don't know why.
No Air Force Ones or
I have some dope ass Air Force Ones I bought. Yeah. But I don't know. I there is so much money in that market. By the way, you guys,
for sure,
it is insane. Soul, Got Soul is a convention for sneakers that travels around, and there's these rare shoes that are all over the place. And I just got sucked down the YouTube rabbit hole, and I've been buying different kicks. I got the fucking Hurikazes from my Sean Kemp era.
The fuck does that even mean?
Yeah, that's what they're called. The fucking Sean Kemp signature shoe that they re-dropped that I went and bought.
Well, to throw in that, with the 3D printers they have now, you can pretty much get any kind of design you want on your shoe. So stuff is getting kind of crazy. I've seen some crazy ass shoes.
I guess I haven't seen that whole side of it, but that's pretty cool.
Well, you get pretty much all kinds of crazy artwork.
No, that makes sense.
Flashy, some nice kicks.
But no, you guys, I have a mild obsession right now. I've done good. I haven't bought a pair in a week, so trying to stay on that on the straight and narrow.
All right.
I was itching, fandom.
For me, it was just the other day I saw that they're dropping a Barry Sanders documentary on, I believe, Amazon. If you got Amazon,
I think it is Prime. Yeah, I
think it's Prime too.
So definitely gonna check that out. It's gonna be nice to hear his side. Always great to see those Sanders highlights.
Fuck yeah.
Hear his side on why he walked away when he did. Definitely
he's one
in
of
on
those
that.
guys that there's no doubt in anybody's mind that he could play in any generation of the NFL. That talent was explosive. He would have Jim Brown would have had nothing on Barry Sanders has he been back then, and Barry Sanders' game to this day is still fucking nasty.
Since you bring that up, when I saw the documentary preview, it talks about his dad's telling him he's never going to beat Jim Brown.
No.
But
He was
Barry
better than
Sanders is
Jim Brown,
definitely
dude.
like one of the best backs of all time.
I mean, honestly, if you go play for play, he might be number one. Like his stats don't back it up because he retired so quickly, but like his tape is unreal, man.
Well, I mean, who else would you put? I mean, so if you have Barry in there, right? So
Okay.
that's 1 of 5. Walter Payton, Jim Brown are 2 more, so that's 3. Then you got Emmitt Smith at like probably 4, right? You'd have to put Emmitt in.
I don't know, just because he's a compiler, I might put Frank Gore over him.
Both compilers, to be fair.
Exactly.
And then but then we've only named 4.
I mean,
Who would be number 5.
Adrian Peterson, I think,
Marshawn
could be
Lynch.
a consideration. Marshawn Lynch, I mean,
I love him. His game's so
he's
nasty.
not
He doesn't-
quite there,
he
but
doesn't
the
have
highlights.
stats. Yeah,
AP
no.
put
Oh
up
my
some
God.
fucking MVPs, dude. AP's
Right,
numbers
no,
are
that's
crazy.
and you have to
Marshall
Mount
Falk.
Rushmore a guy who got a fucking MVP. though,
Marshall
like,
Falk's got to be up there.
nasty,
Talked about
sure.
the way that he revolutionized catching
Yes.
the ball out of the backfield.
For
He was
sure.
one of those
show
running.
on turf, baby.
He was
Like,
one of
he's
those
a huge
first
part of
running
that.
backs that was like more of a cat. Like
I
he
feel
ran,
that.
but he also, dude, think about how many balls he caught those years. He was touching the ball 35 times, where he was
Dude,
touching it
there's so many
20 and
good-
15.
There's so many good running backs that don't get their due, guys. Like fucking Jamal Charles and Priest Holmes for the Chiefs. Like they had some
Priest,
fucking
Ravens,
insane.
running
Tiki
backs.
Barber at his fucking prime. Curtis Martin.
Curtis Martin.
Oh my god, dude. Curtis Martin might be a top. He's a top 10er. You could potentially argue him in the top. LaDainian Tomlinson.
Lenny and
I think Thompson might be the
throw
fifth.
him in
Oh
there.
my God.
Yes.
He might be the 5th.
Oh my god.
He probably is the 5th.
Over
like-
Dickinson. Dickinson we didn't mention either.
Well, he had one insanely good year.
But
and the
I
rest
like
was
Tomlinson.
everything
I
good.
watched Tomlinson.
Tomlinson's
I didn't
probably in the-
watch
Because
Tomlinson.
he could catch, oh my god, and he could run through a motherfucker face. And he could dance around you too. That's a Marshawn. I love him. I want to sit and have a beer with him. Throwback to earlier in the pod.
So my fan this week, I don't know if everybody saw, but the NFL owners approved the A's relocation.
MLB.
Yeah,
Yes.
MLB owners approved the relocation of the A's
100%
to
too.
Vegas.
There was nothing opposed to it.
Yep, and it's not a surprise. All the MLB numbers to see the Chucks singling it, they just see the number to dollar signs.
Yeah,
And
the
then-
middle fingers are for the state of Nevada if the A's don't actually become a competitive team.
Correct, because we lose all the money that was signed in the super contract.
Yes.
And then also a couple of days after that had been signed, maybe the day after, a day of, the owner and Rob Manfred decided to say, hey, we tried to keep the A's in Oakland. Again, you never tried to keep the A's in Oakland. Why do you keep saying that? You two fucked it. All you did was see money. If Vegas wouldn't have been a money whore, any other MLB team would have been fucking, ownership would have kicked them out because of the way they treated that team. They made it a minor league team by doing what they did. So fuck you to everybody that's involved. I fucking hate you all.
Bringing the wheelbarrow, man. Oh, dude. I feel like your fandoms have been so rough recently down here. We gotta bring it back to the light side.
My team
dude.
suck right now, dude. There's nothing to fucking root
It's
about.
fresh. You gotta get it out.
That's
USC
true.
can't
It's
do
true.
nothing on
I don't
defense.
disagree with that. So
The Raiders can't ever hire a fucking half decent coach.
your Knights are good. Your Knights
Yes,
are
the
good.
Knights are playing really well.
There you go.
Shout out to the NHL. Kraken are starting to turn it around. So
But
let's get it.
But like everybody, keep your eye out for. We got, like Chuck said, the NBA in-season tournaments going on. The NBA is getting
It's
hot.
about to round up to the second round, where it's getting rid of group sessions. You have your 4 winners or your 6 winners of the 4 teams, 6 times 4, and then 2 wild cards. So there you go. You get 8 in the next round.
And then we'll work into keep your eye out for Otani news has been kind of brewing.
Oh yeah.
So watch out for all that. MLB stuff is starting to move. You've been seeing some of these low kind of key trades right now. So keep your eye out for any of that big kind of stuff that's heading your way. NFL's always popping. There's always shit going on.
God, we love the NFL.
And college football's popping like a motherfucker right now too. So
We're rounding out, man. We're gonna get deeper into that Ohio State, Michigan talk, and let's hope that the Pac-12 doesn't cannibalize itself. We're right there.
Let's
We're
go
right there.
Let's go
Cheers
Big
to
Blue,
that.
and let's go Pac-12. God, Washington, Oregon just win out. Please fucking win out.
Absolutely, we're drinking to Washington win out.
Please. And Oregon, both have to win out.
Well, yeah, but then Washington's got to win out, and then beat him in the Pac-12 title game.
Shout
Very
out
good.
to an Oregon brewer as our third beer of the pod. They jumped on late, but I'm going to throw them in right now. The Shoots, The Squeezy Rider West Coast IPA Indian style.
It's
very
7%er.
But that's 7?
But it's very mild. It's like
Drinks
an
at
all,
5.
It's an all day
Drinks
drinker.
at 5,
for sure.
absolutely. Well,
It
you
tastes
guys,
awful.
make sure we took a second picture. We uploaded it to X and Instagram for all 3, so make sure you look out for that. You leave a comment, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. You know, we're gonna be back with Pod 37s coming up on the horizon.
Yeah, it might be the first pod of a new location.
Also, have a good Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yes, Thanksgiving.
Oh, we won't be back until after
We won't
the
be
holiday.
back until after Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving week might be a week where we try
Bye week.
setting up and get the new thing going. So we will see you in actually 2 weeks, probably more likely.
Okay. Love you guys.